The next proclamation will be given by Vice Chair Tara Lawson-Remer and Supervisor Monica Montgomery Stepp, honoring Sister Cities Project.
Where's my colleague? Okay. Okay. Am I kicking us off? Yes. Okay, great. So today I join my colleague as we highlight the impact of the Sister Cities Project here in San Diego County. The mission of the Sister City Project embodies principles that make our community stronger, more equitable, and connected, fostering collaboration, creating opportunities, and ensuring that all voices are heard. By forming formal partnerships between communities, the Sister City Project helps bridge gaps, open doors, and build the type of cross-community relationships that strengthen ties. Today, we stand together to celebrate the partnership between Southeastern San Diego and the Solana Beach, Del Mar, Carmel Valley communities, a partnership that holds the promise of creating new opportunities for social, economic, and cultural growth. This effort is rooted in mutual respect, shared understanding, and a commitment to equity. Through workforce development, small business growth, and a focus on community dialogue, this initiative is building a network of support that will help lift up communities and provide sustainable pathways for success. As we celebrate the impact of this partnership, we also look forward to the new opportunities it will generate, whether in education or economic development. It is important we keep identifying shared goals, launching new initiatives, and advancing key priorities to create lasting benefits in all of our communities. So on behalf of the San Diego Board of Supervisors, I want to express our deep appreciation to all those who have worked tirelessly to make the Sister Cities Project a reality. Your leadership, your vision, and your unwavering commitment have been vital for this endeavor. So I will now pass it over to my colleague, Supervisor Montgomery Stepp.
Thank you so much, Vice Chair, and good morning, everyone. It's an honor to celebrate the inspiring mission of the Sister Cities Project. This organization truly highlights what is possible when communities come together, united by a shared commitment to equity and create meaningful connections. The Sister Cities Project has a bold mission to establish formal partnerships between varied communities with different types of socioeconomic status. And it does this through a comprehensive ecosystem that prioritizes workforce development, small business growth, and community dialogue forums. Its goal to foster equity and cultivate new relationships between diverse communities and individuals is so important to our ever-changing society. Today, we formally recognize the partnership the Sister Cities Project has created, as the Vice Chair said, between Southeastern San Diego and the Solana Beach, Del Mar, Carmel Valley cluster. This partnership creates pathways for authentic collaboration and shared growth. Most importantly, this new partnership emphasizes the development of new programs for education, social interaction, and economic equity. As we proclaim the establishment of the Sister Cities Partnership, I want to recognize the efforts of those who have championed this cause. We celebrate the commitment to equity and the vision of a future where all communities can thrive together. So let this proclamation stand as a testament to the power of collaboration, the importance of understanding, and the strength of unity. And with that, I'll read the last line of the proclamation. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by Chairwoman Nora Vargas and all members of the San Diego County Board of Supervisors on this 10th day of December 2024 that we commend the Sister Cities Project for their outstanding service, leadership, and commitment to the citizens of San Diego County, and do hereby declare this day to be Sister Cities Project Day throughout San Diego County. Congratulations.
So real quickly, I'd just like to thank Supervisor Monica Montgomery and Tara Lawson-Remer. Real quickly, I just want to say that, in America, we do a really good job of equality, which is providing the same resources for everyone, but we don't do a great job of equity, which is meeting the needs of people and where they are and giving them what they need to become successful in America. So I just wanted to say that, and that's our mission, and I hope that, all of us can join together in this movement to make communities more equitable in America. Thanks.
The next proclamation will be given by Supervisor Monica Montgomery Stepp, honoring Rady Children's Hospital and Health Systems. Accepting the proclamation will be Lori Lynn, Injury Prevention Manager, Rady Children's Hospital, and Stephanie Gioa Beckman, Director, Community Impact and Advocacy for Rady Children's Hospital.
Good morning. Morning again, everyone. It is truly an honor and a privilege to stand here today to recognize the Rady Children's Hospital and Health System in honor of Injury Prevention Day. It's my pleasure to acknowledge Rady Children's Hospital for their unwavering commitment to the health and safety of our youngest and most vulnerable residents. For decades, they've been a cornerstone of pediatric care in our region, providing world-class medical treatment, cutting-edge research, and a compassionate lifeline to families in their most challenging moments. Families throughout San Diego County have turned to Rady Children's during their most difficult times, finding not only expert care, but also the reassurance that their children are in the best hands possible. While Injury Prevention Day was in November, it's never too late for us to recognize one of the leading causes of death and disability among children in the United States, from birth through 18 years of age. Across the United States, 20 children tragically lose their lives every day to preventable injuries, and countless more are hospitalized or left with life-altering conditions. Here in San Diego, the statistics are equally sobering. Falls are the leading cause of child hospitalizations due to preventable injuries, while motor vehicle accidents remain the primary cause of trauma. In recent years, emerging trends such as e-bike and scooter-related injuries have only added to the urgency of this issue. Rady Children's Hospital has risen to this challenge, becoming a leader in injury prevention. As a designated site for the Injury-Free Coalition for Kids, they have implemented evidence-based programs that not only respond to injuries, but actively work to prevent them. Through education, advocacy, and outreach, they are equipping families and communities with the tools and knowledge they need to create safer environments for children. It is also important to recognize the people behind the institution, the doctors, nurses, administrators, researchers, and community partners who dedicate themselves every single day to the well-being of our children. Their work goes beyond providing medical care. They create hope, foster resilience, and ensure that no family walks their journey alone. Today's proclamation is a testament to the lives saved, the families supported, and the futures made possible by Rady Children's Hospital. And with that, it is my great honor to present this proclamation, and I'll read the last line again. It says, be it proclaimed by Chairwoman Nora Vargas and all the members of the San Diego County Board of Supervisors on this 10th day of December 2024, that we commend Rady Children's Hospital and Health System for their outstanding service, leadership, and commitment to the citizens of San Diego County, and do hereby declare this day to be Injury Prevention Day throughout San Diego County. Congratulations.
Thank you, Supervisor Montgomery Stepp and all the county supervisors. Rady Children's Hospital is the lead agency for an organization called Safe Kids San Diego. Safe Kids San Diego is the community-facing part of Rady Children's, where we, every year, take the data and then focus on programs in our communities. We invite all of you to participate in Safe Kids San Diego as we focus on all the injuries. We have partners and anybody who is interested in taking care of kids. Finally, every 3 years, Safe Kids San Diego puts out a report to the community. Our report will come out in 2025. This is the last report. And this information can help keep all of our kids safe and be able to continue to have injury prevention days and maybe get rid of them because our kids aren't getting injured anymore.
The last proclamation will be given by Supervisor Jim Desmond honoring Palomar College Rising Scholars Program. Accepting the proclamation will be Star River Lacey, PhD President, Palomar College.
Oh, this is wonderful. Good morning. This is about the Palomar College Rising Scholars Program. And I've got with me Dr. Star Rivera Lacey. She's the superintendent and the president of Palomar College Community District Rising Stars program team here with us today. Okay, you raise your hand when I call your name off. I'm going to you got a great team here. Dr. Leslie Salas, Dean Student Success. Dr. Nora Kenny, Rising Stars program coordinator. Joe Romero, the student support specialists. We also have Rising Star peer mentors. These are Palomar College students. Joseph Arias, Megan Carlson, Cynthia Murillo, Darren Tittle, Vanessa Rojas, the Rising Scholars Special Projects coordinator, is that right? Julie Lanthier Bandy, she's the Director of Marketing and Communications at Palomar at Public Affairs, and Gabriela Lopez, Outreach Specialist from North County Education Opportunity Center at Palomar College. This is a wonderful program. It was founded in 2018 by a formerly incarcerated professor who believes that education can transform lives. This program is part of the California Community College Rising Stars Network. Hopefully I'm not stealing all your thunder here. It's a statewide organization of 93 different community colleges that serves over 20,000 in the state of California, over 20,000 currently and formerly incarcerated students each semester. In the state of California, it costs about $82,000 to incarcerate someone. It only costs $2,000 a year to provide a community college education. The Department of Justice reports that through education and career training, the recidivism rate of formerly incarcerated individuals is reduced from 50% to 30%. So in the past 6 years, Palomar College Rising Scholars Program has served 898 currently and formerly incarcerated. And by currently, you actually have, there's a wing at the Vista Detention Center that actually gives, I think is it just for veterans right now? For veterans, but veterans that are incarcerated, it gives them community college credits and access to community college professors and education while in jail. So hopefully they can have a better outcome when they get out. But this is formerly incarcerated students, including veterans, detained at the Vista Detention Center. So an estimated 90% of the Rising Star scholars graduate and earn a certificate or a degree in alcohol and other drug studies. These are often the root causes of them ending up in making bad decisions. But in alcohol and drug studies to positively impact individuals, families, and communities for generations to come. So whereas the County of San Diego is committed to recognizing and honoring those individuals that are dedicated to the best ideals of public service, Palomar College Rising Scholars Team is one such worthy organization. So be it proclaimed today by Chairwoman Nora Vargas and all the members of the San Diego County Board of Supervisors on this 10th day of December 2024 that we commend the Palomar College Rising Scholars Program and team for their outstanding service, leadership, and commitment to the citizens of San Diego County, and to hereby declare this day to be Palomar College Rising Scholars Program Day throughout San Diego County. All right. So I give you President Star Rivera-Lacey.
Thank you so much. So on behalf of the Palomar College Governing Board, our students and employees, it is my honor to thank you, Supervisor Desmond, for this amazing recognition. We are incredibly grateful for your acknowledgement of the Palomar College Rising Scholars Program and its impact in our region. At Palomar College, we proudly serve over 28,000 students in our 2,500 square mile district. I'd like to say that we are larger than the state of Delaware. It is our privilege to guide students along their educational path to meet their academic and career goals. I often say that Palomar College is a place of 1,000 chances. The Rising Scholar Program is a perfect demonstration of this. It shows how a community college education can positively impact the lives of students and their families and their communities and for generations to come. It has also been an opportunity to build a college-wide culture of collaboration, support, and acceptance for all students. I'm going to skip some of this because you covered it very, very well, and you did it outstanding. I do want to acknowledge the students, because without the students, there is no program. I also want to acknowledge an individual, Dr. Nora Kenny Whitley. Where'd she go? There she goes. There we go. She has been a champion for this cause and unceasing in her support, and I think part of this, we would be remiss if we didn't acknowledge you by name. Again, thank you so much for this incredible honor. Happy Palomar College Rising Scholars Day, and go Comets!
Your notes? My notes.
Good to get out of the office.
Thank you, Supervisor.
Hey, you're welcome. Thank you very much.
Julie.
Hey, thanks for all you're doing. Appreciate your efforts on this.
Thank you. On behalf of Chairwoman Vargas, next on the agenda is non-agenda public communication, which is an opportunity for the public to address the board on subject matters within the board's jurisdiction, but not an item on today's agenda. The only action that the board may take is a referral to the Chief Administrative Officer. According to the board's rules of procedure, public speakers that are non-English speaking and need interpretation assistance will get twice the allotted time for their comments. The rules also state that audience members shall not whistle, clap, stomp feet, or anything that disrupts these proceedings. We have 30 requests to speak on matters not listed on the agenda, 12 in person and 18 requesting to speak by phone. For those that requested to speak by phone, please dial into the conference line using the instructions that were provided to you. We will begin with the in-person speakers. In accordance with the board's rules of procedure, we will hear from the first 5 speakers in person. All the remaining speakers will be heard at the conclusion of today's session. As your name is called, please come forward and stand on the arrows until it is your turn to speak at the podium. You will have 2 minutes to address the board. We'll ask you to begin by stating your name for the audio record. I'd like to invite forward the first 3 individuals, Jeff No Way, Liana LeBaron, and Jana. If I've called your name, please come forward.
My name is Jeff. I want to know why you board members haven't taken action to finally eliminate fluoride from tap water in San Diego. In late September of this year, in a precedent-setting 7-year legal battle, a federal court finally ruled that fluoridation of water poses an unreasonable risk to children. In that case out of Northern California, it was finally admitted that fluoride's 75-year claim of safety actually had 0 supporting evidence, and that in fact fluoride decreases the IQ in children. Shocker, right? No, not to those of us awake and aware. You see, fluoride is a neurotoxin. It's a poison. And in fact, deliberately poisoning the unknowing slave class is precisely what has been at hand here for generations. For those of you that haven't caught on yet, you reside in a eugenics chamber of sorts, a purposeful slow kill box, if you will. The serfs are poisoned via food, air, water, multiple products, and of course, the favorite mode of poisoning by this murderous parasite scumbag, so-called elite class, is injection of so-called vaccines right into the arm. Many of us have spent a lot of time here the last 4 years waving our arms and hollering about the deliberate poisoning via injection. You didn't listen. We've been in here hollering about the poisoning via chemtrails, but pilot Jim Desmond pretends he doesn't know what we're talking about, right, Jim? No. GMOs and the use of glyphosate are favorite poisoning methods in food, and fluoride has been the favorite method of poisoning via water. And how about all the smart dust and nano materials being ingested by everyone via all these methods? That ties into the transhumanist biodigital convergence that the parasite...
Thank you. Your time is up. Thank you. Next speaker, please. Your time is up, sir. Sir, your time is up. Your time is up. Your time is up. Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Just a reminder, if you're disruptive in this meeting and you don't follow protocols, you will be warned once and then will be asked to be removed from the chambers. Thank you.
Good morning, Jim, Monica, Nora, and Tara. My name is Liana LeBaron, and I am a council member for the City of Lemon Grove. I am here to make you all aware of the chaos, confusion, and upset one of your recent decisions has caused in my community. On July 16th, you held a meeting in which you voted to approve construction of over 65 sleeping cabins for the homeless on Troy Street in Lemon Grove. One of my council colleagues, Councilmember Allison Snow, stood before you and said she was speaking on behalf of the city and the entire city council when she said this project was welcomed as proposed, where proposed. It was later discovered there were at least 2 other council members, including Mayor Raquel Vasquez, who have said similar things. I am here to tell you those elected officials lied. None had any such authority to speak on behalf of the city without first getting consent from the people they govern. Lemon Grove is a caring, hardworking community, and the people of my city care very deeply about their safety, their property, their children, and their families. That said, there are not many people that are comfortable with constructing a giant, low-barrier shelter for those actively struggling through drug and alcohol addiction nor severe mental health issues near a preschool. If the goal is to help the unhoused, as it should be, I encourage you, as an elected official, as one of your neighbors, as a mother, I encourage you to rescind your vote, openly discuss this project with elected officials at an open and publicly noticed meeting. And
Thank you. Thank you. As the next speaker is coming forward, I'd like to invite the remaining speakers in person, Truth and Bryant Rumbaugh. If I've called your name, please come forward and stand on the arrows. Jenna, you may come forward. Yep.
Sorry. Hi, my name is Jana. I've come here a few times before to talk about my vaccine injury support group, which is going strong in San Diego. It's been almost 2 years now, and we do have a website. It's wecareforyou99.com, so you can take this information. But I decided to come speak today personally on the non-agenda for situations that I'm not understanding quite what's going on here. I've been a San Diego native my entire life. It's never been this difficult to live in this community. I know that things have changed, but yesterday I turned 63 years old, and I was hoping that, you know, the later part of my life would be a little bit easier. And what's happening is that you guys are allowing a lot of these people coming in across the border. There's a group over here that's pro all this, I understand, but we are sacrificing our security. My bills alone are over $6,000 a month just to live here and pay normal bills. That doesn't include any credit card debt that I don't have anything. And I work a business I've had for 13 plus years, plus 2 side jobs, which makes me work 7 days a week, and it's totally fine. I'm not asking for handouts, but I need you guys to understand this is your community, this is your constituents, and we hear you going overboard trying to take care of everyone else who doesn't even, they're not legal here. Let them come in legally. And we're upset, and I would never stand up here in front of everybody and tell you my personal business. But there's a lot of people that are in my situation that are not okay. They're not doing well. And you guys need to hear that, because this is a really big topic, and it's sad.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
All right, still Brian Rumbaugh. Jim, good to see you, buddy. So it's been about 2 years since I've been in here. You know, I'm gonna quick just kind of, let's just say parlay off of what she just said. Ironically, I did see a statistic where as things have gotten harder for everybody, believe it or not, as we sit here, we are going to have a lower lifespan than our parents. Okay, and that apparently is while we've all been in this divided red versus blue paradigm, as you've heard me call it several times over the last 2 years. And you know, what I initially wanted to talk to before talking of Jana there is that invocation that Andrew read. You know, I actually went ahead and looked it up. And you know, one thing that we need to understand is that in America, we have creator endowed rights. We recognize them, which means certainly for us to protect our sovereignty, we should be recognizing those same rights to people that are in other nations. We do have a nationless class that leads people around rooms in circles with ropes on their necks and punches them in the eye and all this crap, okay? That the word God wasn't even, and I understand, creator is different. Creator is supposed to be the word that maybe people may not get offended by. Deity. It brings in that incarnation, or incantation rather. You know, when I looked up that, it's ritual magic. I mean, this nation had the chance, still has the chance to trailblaze the way humanity is supposed to live. We got to take the money out of the political campaigns. We got to pretty much create an engaged society. You guys just must love these fireworks. I don't.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
It's truth. Tara needs to be censured today, not next meeting, right now. Tara has exhibited a pattern and practice of disrespect, unprofessionalism, and ethically questionable behavior unfit for public service. She has consistently shown up late to meetings and or left meetings early, exhibited unprofessionalism such as rolling her eyes after a supervisor spoke. On May 21st, degraded the integrity of these meetings by referring to them as political theater, inaccurately described Board of Supervisors meetings to the media, has consistently ignored and exhibited disdain toward people who come to speak, has called for a 5-minute recess that turned into a 30-minute meeting interruption without any update to the waiting public. On October 8th, wasted resources on an item about county fire and procurement despite 0 reported issues. Has worked against a fellow supervisor and the public by rushing into an EPA Superfund designation without time to research consequences. Refused to meet with constituents regarding important issues like animal abuse. Unable to maintain staff. On September 25th, was caught posting on Facebook during a meeting. Publicly shared suggestive self-portraits of their own daughter's identity exposed that detracted from meeting business and was unbecoming of anyone in public office. In 2021, called for speaking time reduced to 30 seconds. Called for reducing speaking time on January 9th and 23rd, despite telling the media it would not be heard again. On July 16th, implemented new speaking time reduction rules without a vote of the entire board. On September 24th, gave the CEO of a pre-planned deal 3 minutes to speak while arbitrarily cutting everyone else's time down to 1 minute. Violated the board rules by repeatedly bringing unlawful, tyrannical censorship attempts like today's item 36 that have already resulted in at least 1 lawsuit against the county. Has caused the public duress and created a hostile and toxic environment by discouraging and suppressing the right to redress one's own government, including for me. So I'm leaving in protest and a demand of a censure of Tara Lawson-Remer now to protect free speech. Thank you.
So, Consuelo, this is your first warning. You're disrupting the meeting. You only get 1 warning. The next one, you're going to be asked to leave. Okay?
Thank you. Now we'll hear from those that requested to speak by phone. Again, in accordance with the board's rules, we will hear from the first 5 callers. The remaining callers will be heard at the conclusion of today's session. When it is your turn to speak, you will be unmuted and you will hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments after the beep. I'll remind the callers they should mute their TV or live video stream before they begin speaking. We will start with our first caller.
Paul LeBold, 42 agenda items today. It's an open invitation to
Paul, your device might be muted. We'll come back to you.
Good morning and best wishes for a speedy recovery, Chair Vargas. My name is Suzanne Hume and I'm the Educational Director and founder of CleanEarthForKids.org. Please, please stop leasing San Diego County land, taxpayer land, for West Coast tomato growers with a history of documented farm worker abuse. They had to settle in 2018 for $1 million. And the West Coast tomato growers using toxic pesticides that poisoned me, a teacher, and is currently continuing to poison people 100 feet away from where the fields are. They're using toxic pesticides known to cause cancer, lung, heart, and brain diseases, neurological diseases, inflammatory diseases, kidney disease, psychiatric symptoms, increased depression. I could go on and on. What West Coast tomato growers is doing is not okay. The people of San Diego County do not agree to have our land misused in this way, to be spraying and poisoning people 100 feet away and next to the bike trail where kids learn to ride their bikes, next to Guajomie Park, because this is supposed to be parkland. This is our land. We've been asking you for 8 years to stop allowing and promoting the poisoning of people. People are sick. People cannot afford to move. This is our land, taxpayer land. A vote will be coming soon at the end of January. Please vote no. Please protect our lives and our water. This is next to the San Luis Rey River that floods and washes toxic PFAS, toxic chemicals and PFAS forever chemicals into our water. This is harming our people, our wildlife, their five.
Thank you. Now hear from the next speaker.
Swello here. I left the chambers before I got kicked out. I know you missed my name in your mouth, Nora. But anyways, what I wanted to say was it's time. It's time to break down the belief systems, especially pertaining to government. You have all these proclamations that are given to these people who have no freaking clue of what you guys do. They just want, they just come in and they receive their little placard or whatever it is, and then they go about their business continuing to do what it is government likes them to do. Be distracted, pay your taxes, not pay attention to what they're in fact doing. And it's funny because a lot of these proclamations consisted of humanity and people working together. Well, that's in fact what it should be and where it's going, quite frankly, because these political pawns, I call them, they're not elected, but selected. Case in point, the man who ran against Nora Vargas. Who is he? I didn't see any signage on him. I saw absolutely nothing on him, maybe a couple interviews. But him too, it's like you're running against people that, and not only that, but nobody knew who he was. Yeah, he got 30% of the vote. And that just goes to show you just how fed up people are with this board, this chairwoman, and all their shenanigans. People need to wake up. I'm talking to you in the audience. You need to wake up and pay attention, not just when you're getting a proclamation or you're scripted and you're asked to come in to speak on a certain subject. Pay attention to what they're doing. Pay attention to who, in fact, is coercing you to speak and why they're coercing you to speak. There's always reasons, and the people are always the last. They don't work for the people. They work for the predator class, I like to call them. I don't even call them elite. They work for the predator class, and there's no conspiracy theory about it. Pay attention.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the next caller.
Good morning. Thank you for allowing me to address the Board of Supervisors. My name is Madison Rapp, and I want to draw your attention to the growing impacts of commercial interests on public health, especially as it relates to addictive behaviors. According to the World Health Organization, the commercial determinants of health, including the alcohol, tobacco, and processed food industries, are major contributors to preventable disease and death. These industries not only drive addiction, but also contribute to over $300 billion in healthcare costs annually due to tobacco alone. In addition to traditional substances, emerging industries like vaping and cannabis are targeting vulnerable populations, especially youth and older adults, with addictive products, often through highly appealing marketing strategies. These commercial interests fuel public health crises, from rising obesity-related diseases to the opioid and overdose epidemics, and they often shift the economic burden to our healthcare system. Our county can play a significant role in addressing these issues by promoting policies that prioritize public health over corporate profit. This includes supporting education and prevention programs, advocating for stronger regulations on marketing harmful substances, and investing in resources that help individuals and families affected by addiction. By recognizing the link between commercial interests and health outcomes, we can work together to create a healthier, more resilient community. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the next caller.
Hi, my name is Zora Fahim, President and founder of Los Angeles Alliance for Animals. San Diego Department of Animal Services has become a deep stain in county history as a failure to our community and animals. If I was a county supervisor, I would rise up out of my seat and go to the shelter and speak to employees. Let them know how much I appreciate their hard work. Let them know that the time is now for all of us to start rolling up our sleeves and begin aggressive reform. Investigation on Artesian Road is the same. Ongoing investigation that seems to be ongoing, going absolutely nowhere because Department of Animal Services doesn't know how to investigate equine cruelty cases, which is the reason why the horses on Artesian Road are still there, suffering, being neglected, which is the reason why the county must sit down with us so that we can provide our experts to them to create a case for District Attorney Summer Stephan to remove all the animals. DAS claims horses and herd animals do not need protection against elements. According to equine experts, they do need protection against elements. And UC Davis veterinarian guidelines drafted by board-certified equine veterinarians mentioning that horses need protection against elements, against the rain, with windbreak. DAS needs to implement an immediate policy that horses need protection against elements, and this needs to be enforced. And all the animals on Artesian Road need to be immediately removed for allegations of criminal animal cruelty. DAS has allowed the animals in our community, the horse owners in our community, which are in the thousands, to suffer and be neglected. This must stop now. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now return to the first caller, Paul DeBold.
Thank you, Paul Bold. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Good, great. 42 agenda items. This is an open invitation to reschedule them arbitrarily to another day so people sit waiting or have to leave without speaking. And for the third time this year, this is unethical and probably an illegal burden on free speech. If you have a defense, it would be good to answer now. Congratulations to those who got elected or participated in the election process, and happy holidays. I am sorry for the harsh criticism of named individuals I have made previously. The truth hurts, doesn't it? On with the Cal Constitution. Article 7, Section 10. No person who is found liable in a civil action for making libelous or slanderous statements against an opposing candidate during the course of an election campaign shall retain the seat to which he or she is elected, or this established that the person actually libel or slander was a major contributing cause in the defeat of an opposing candidate. That person actually made the statement, etc. Article 9, Section 1. General diffusion of knowledge and intelligence being essential to the preservation of the rights and liberties of the people, the legislature shall encourage by all suitable means the promotion of intellectual, scientific, moral, and agricultural improvement. This means not imposing a specific type of education, and please note that that includes moral improvement, which putting graphic sexual or gender-bending books in schools is.
Thank you. And Chairwoman Vargas, that concludes the request for non-agenda public communication this morning. Again, all the remaining speakers will be heard at the conclusion of today's session.
Okay, thank you. We'll be now moving on to the next item on our agenda, which is the approval of the statement of proceedings and minutes for the following meetings.
Thank you. Vice Chair Lawson-Remer, the meetings for approval before the board for the regular Board of Supervisors and Fire Protection District meetings of October 22nd, 2024, special meetings of October 16th, 2024 and October 22nd, 2024, Flood Control District meeting of October 9th, 2024, Housing Authority meeting of June 5th, 2024, In-Home Supportive Services Public Authority meeting of June 25th, 2024, Redevelopment Successor Agency meeting of June 25th, 2024, and Sanitation District meetings of July 17th and August 27th, 2024.
Are there any member comments or questions on the minutes? No. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Move to approve.
I'll second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Please vote.
Chairwoman Vargas, that motion passes unanimously with all supervisors who are present voting aye.
Okay, thank you. We will now proceed with the formation of our consent calendar, items 1 through 28 and 39 to 40. All agenda items on the consent calendar are routine and will be acted upon with one motion. Members of the public will be able to comment on the consent calendar altogether after the supervisors pull the items they would like for discussion. Supervisor Montgomery Stepp, any items to pull or any items to comment?
No items to pull, a couple items for comment. Item number 9, 12, and 17. Just real briefly on item number 9, I'm grateful to support this and that it is on the agenda. Know that we have to make those dollars stretch because we don't know when the next allocation will come from previous Prop 47 dollars to help folks that are struggling in the criminal justice system with mental health issues. So glad to see that on the agenda, and I know that county staff will do what we can to stretch those dollars. Item number 12, I just want to comment on this because it has to do with EQUIS. So as you all know, in October, I asked my colleagues to approve an audit of EQUIS contract for the county's flood relief program based on the many concerns that I heard from the community. And as I said at the time, it's important to ensure transparency and accountability so that we can improve the process for future emergencies and restore community trust. I know this item today involves other contracts, and because of the need in the community with our unhoused neighbors and that they would continue to have access to emergency housing resources during inclement weather events, I'm okay to support it now as the county goes through the competitive solicitation process for the RHAP contract. But I am looking forward to seeing that audit and making changes based on what it tells us. And so I just wanted to comment on that. And then on number 17, very briefly, this is something coming from the Workforce Partnerships Policy Board. I am the chair of that board, and I'm proud to support the goals of the CalWorks Expanded Subsidized Employment and CalFresh Employment and Training Program, in which this item calls out. These two programs help the county address food insecurity by ensuring that those that are in need are enrolled in food assistance programs. For example, at the San Diego Career Centers, unemployed individuals are enrolled in CalFresh while they receive assistance with their job search and workforce development training. So this is good news for us. With that, I will move the consent agenda. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Supervisor Desmond?
Yes. Were you going to pull item 1?
I was going to actually suggest a friendly amendment, if you wouldn't mind. Just wanted to, I can do that now if you'd like. So I'll just make a quick comment on your item, on item number 1, which I think is really thoughtful. I just was hoping that for recommendation 1B, that we expand it to not only the Vista detention facility, but Vista and all county detention facilities, a pretty minor amendment, if you'd be amenable.
I think that's fine, and that's the intent is to, if we start it maybe in Vista, but to have it spread throughout the entire county and make it work.
Okay, great.
So I'm happy to accept that.
Thank you. Ryan, did you catch that?
Okay, so I have comments first on 1926, and then I'll get back to 1. Number 19, this is to explore the establishment of procedures to form business improvement districts. While I think this item is well-intentioned, I'm not interested in the business improvement districts. I'm only interested in the ones for the unincorporated areas. I'm not supportive of the county getting unnecessarily entangling itself with the city for these business improvement districts. As it currently stands, there's nothing preventing a group of business owners forming a business improvement district anywhere in the county. State law already permits them to be formed without a county ordinance, as shown by the many that already exist in our cities. Also, it's hard to support an item where we ask the CAO to go look for funding for one particular ethnic or cultural group in a city when we have countless others throughout the region. And we absolutely have funding mechanisms for this purpose, neighborhood reinvestment or community enhancement to assist groups such as this. So I'm going to be registering, Ryan, a no vote on item 19. Item 26 is a request to apply for and accept grant funds for the Cannabis Equity Grants Program. I'm going to be registering a no vote on item 26 as well, as I disagree with the Cannabis Equity Program and do not believe it's right for the unincorporated area. So a no vote on 19 and 26. But on number 1, this is enhancing alternatives to incarceration to include universal transportation options and expanded care coordination. In May, I brought forward a board letter to explore the feasibility of providing transportation to those released from jail. In my district, we've heard from many community members and local officials that the Vista detention facility has had negative impacts on the community when someone is released from jail, whether they've been incarcerated just for a couple hours or a couple of years. They're often disoriented, don't know if they get a bus pass, how to use the bus system to get around. This results in some of those, just wandering the streets around the jails. So the report came back from staff, identified a need for transportation for those released from jail countywide. And it's also identified a need for housing component for those released in jail in North County. They need a place to stay right away. When someone's released, this is an opportunity for us to help intervene, get them help, get them connected with housing and services so hopefully they don't wind up in jail again just days later. So I want to say thanks, staff, to all the work that went into this and the report back to the alternatives to incarceration, and I look forward to hearing the update. And with that, I'll support item 1 with the friendly amendment from Supervisor Lawson-Remer.
Thank you so much. Just also apologies noting that item 4 has been withdrawn. So we're considering the consent calendar, which is items 1 through 28, 39 through 40, subtracting item 4. I just have a couple comments. First of all, again, appreciate the work of my colleague on item 1 and appreciate that you've willing to accept that friendly amendment. It's important we continue to expand this work. Another quick comment on item number 9, which I think also aligns with our alternatives to incarceration work and our broader commitment to helping individuals with mental illnesses who are interacting with our justice system. So I'm happy to see the investments in this program and the adoption of a whatever it takes approach. Item 12, I just want to echo the concerns already voiced by my colleague, and I appreciate that addressing these concerns is well underway, but I want to just note that for the record regarding EQUIS in item 12. And item 16, again, just appreciate the good work here. We all often don't fully appreciate the important contribution that CalWORKs makes to our community, supporting our vision of growing the middle class and providing job trainings and employment opportunities. So I'm very happy to see that this work continues to expand. So with that, Supervisor, apologies. Supervisor Chair Vargas, who, by the way, has been doing an amazing job, but is struggling with her voice, so thank you.
The only thing I wanted to add was on item number 19. This is as part of a discussion that we've had with the community, particularly the Filipino community, which many of you know comprises about 19% of the counties out of the population and has one of the highest concentrations areas in District 3. And I want to say that part of the inspiration for this is the work that has been done on Convoy. And although a lot of the work falls on local cities, I think it's very important for us as a community to highlight the Filipino community in the county of San Diego because of who they are, what they've done, and the impact that they've had. And so in elevating this particular ordinance, this is really a true partnership, which I actually believe is what the county should be doing. And we've seen very successful VIDs like Little Italy and downtown Chula Vista. So I think it's a really good opportunity for us to work together and to collaborate alongside, particularly our County Arts Commission partners and other affiliated networks, and that's the reason for it, Supervisor Desmond, really an opportunity for us to work and collaborate together without imposing on cities, but instead actually working in partnership with them, and have had conversations with some of the council members without violating the Brown Act to make sure that they are true partners in this process. And so it's really about elevating a community that should be elevated in this region that hasn't at all. So with that, sorry, thank you.
I know we had a motion by Supervisor Montgomery Stepp. Did we have a second? Was that a second, Supervisor Desmond? We have a second from Chairwoman Vargas noting the objections and on two items by Supervisor Desmond. Okay, thank you. With that, we have a motion and a second. Please call the vote. Apologies, thank you. We now turn to public comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Lawson-Remer. Before I go to public comment, just like to note for the record that item 4 is being withdrawn at the request of the sheriff. For item 9 on the consent agenda, pursuant to San Diego County Administrative Code Section 519.2 Subdivision B and Government Code Section 1091.5 Subdivision A9, Supervisor Vargas and Supervisor Anderson disclosed that they have been appointed by this board to serve as members of the Sandag Board of Directors, and Supervisor Lawson-Remer and Supervisor Montgomery Stepp disclosed that they have been appointed by this board to serve as alternates to the Sandag Board of Directors. The proposed Sandag contract amendment in recommendation 3 does not directly involve a department that employs the supervisor, and therefore they may vote on this item. For item 17 on the consent agenda, pursuant to San Diego County Administrative Code Section 519.2 Subdivision B and Government Code Section 1091.5 Subdivision A9, Supervisor Montgomery Stepp and Supervisor Anderson disclosed that they have been appointed by this board to serve as a member and an alternate to the policy board of the San Diego Consortium, which oversees the San Diego Workforce Partnership. This proposed agreement does not directly involve a department that employs the supervisors, and therefore they may vote on this item. And for item 18 on the consent agenda, pursuant to Government Code Section 54953, prior to taking final action, the legislative body shall orally report a summary of recommendation for a final action on the salary and or compensation paid in the form of fringe benefits of local agency executives. Agenda item 18 includes a salary adjustment for Andrew Potter as clerk of the board with an hourly rate of $108.14, Tamika Nelson as the probation chief with an hourly rate of $132.31, and Claudia Silva as the county counsel with an hourly rate of $174.48. With that, I will now go to public comment. We have 24 total requests to speak on the items on the consent calendar, 12 individuals in person and 12 requesting to speak by phone. For any individuals that requested to speak on items on the consent calendar by phone, please dial into the phone conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you. We'll go ahead and begin with the in-person speakers. As your name is called, if you could please come stand on the arrows until it is your turn to speak. We call on individuals in groups 3. I'd like to invite forward the first 3 individuals, Barbara Suazo, Jennifer Talitz, and Vanessa Rigoza.
Hi. So good morning, San Diego County Board of Supervisors. I will be speaking on agenda item 1 and agenda item 10. I just want to let you both know, you all know for both of these agenda items, my name is Barbara Suazo, and I will be speaking on behalf of Just in Time for Foster Youth. At this time in our world, many of our young people are living a life that society is constantly putting them up against just trials and tribulations, as I'm sure you all know. We are constantly in a fear of instability and in massive incarceration. Many foster youth like myself are even put up against more barriers, harder barriers, that make it difficult to escape these cycles of instability and the likelihood of incarceration. This is where community-based organizations like Just in Time really step in. In North County alone, we support 454 youth just in this year, and through these critical services like housing coordination and assistance in transportation, making these things accessible and realistic, we are able to help system-involved youth find stability and that independence, Jim, that you were previously speaking about when you spoke about topic 1 on the agenda item. These types of support, coupled with our reliable coaches, our volunteers, and the youth, the lived experience staff that we have, these are able to break these cycles that lead to this incarceration I honestly want to say how honored we are to have supervisors in San Diego County that are willing to support agenda items like mass incarceration. So thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good morning. My name is Jennifer Tellitz, and I'm with Just in Time for Foster Youth, and I wanted to speak a little bit about agenda item 13. What I wanted to share is that you may not be aware that former foster youth now outpace our veterans for homelessness. You add that to the fact that they have a higher rate of PTSD because so much of their trauma occurred in childhood. Programs like homeless housing, assistance and prevention are critical in addressing sustainable housing for our young populations, especially with our young people when they have nowhere to turn. Thank you so much for your support on that matter.
Hi, this is for item 18. Okay, so good morning. My name is Vanessa Raigoza. I am a proud SEIU union member and I have worked for the county for 6 years. You should approve this agenda item as it is important to consider adequate compensation for your employees. As county employees go into these negotiations, please remember that we are not just union workers or county employees, but also your constituents. We work for people in each one of your districts, from social work to mental health to medical and food benefits. SEIU represents 11,500 of these county employees. We support the salary adjustments for each one of you. These raises should be a benchmark for our SEIU unions as well, union members as well. Every one of your constituents deserves a livable wage. As county employees, we want to continue to help people, but it's getting harder. It's getting harder to help others when our own salaries won't let us help ourselves. Please help us so that we can continue to help each and every one of the members of our community. Thank you.
I will call the next three speakers: Bob Prokesh, Teresa Rogers-Marsh, and Julie Porter. Recalling Bob Prokesh, Teresa Rogers-Marsh, and Julie Porter. Go with the next three. Ismael Robles, Pam, Edgar Gassaway. Come forward in any order.
Good morning. My name is Bob Prokesh in support of 18. I would like equal consideration for our county workers, 20,000 county employees that serve our most vulnerable citizens, children, family, and seniors. I've been with the county 28 years with Office of Child Welfare, now called Office of Child Safety. I appreciated meeting most of you last week as we kicked off contract negotiations. This week, he received cost equity study results, whose goal is to improve San Diego County position as one of the lowest paid counties to reach an average wage. But our workforce is above average and should be compensated as such. That would match that ubiquitous finding that we live in the most expensive city in the U.S. by matching us as the best compensated. That's how we'll improve our recruitment of new workers and retention of seasoned workers, by compensating them as the highest paid counties such as San Francisco and LA. Our workforce invests in your community every day. It's time to invest in them. Thank you.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors. My name is Teresa Rogers-Marsh. I am a registered nurse for over 30 years. I'm here to address item 18. I am a proud SEIU member and a county worker for the last 10 years. I'm an in-service education coordinator at Edgemoor. We support item 18 for the raises. And one important thing I want to remember is recruitment, retention. In my position, I onboard everyone that comes through the doors of Edgemoor. And in the last 10 years, I've seen that recruitment and retention, it's decreasing. The turnover rate is increasing. People can't afford to live in California anymore, and the wages, are bad. So we have a Senate bill coming up, 525. It's about to change wages for many healthcare providers or workers in California. This includes ancillary positions, the workers who are lowest paid and have to seek services themselves to keep their families afloat. The Senate Bill 525 will increase the wages over the next few years. This will lead the county to losing a large chunk of their healthcare workers. They're going to go to private entities. Will the county consider doing the same and increase the wages when this bill takes effect? There's going to be a ripple effect. It's going to be in the middle of our contract negotiations or when our contract starts. Lastly, Proposition 1, and that's the $3.3 billion competitive grant funding program for behavioral health continuum of care. Can the union be invited next year when you meet with the stakeholders regarding this proposition, to remind the county that we cannot incentivize. Oh.
Thank you. Next speaker.
My name is Julie Porter. I'm with Lived Experience Advisors. Excuse my voice, I'm losing it here. I'm here to support items 1, 6, 22, 30, well, those are this afternoon, but 1, 6, and 22, specifically item number 1, in the safety of people, including transportation, especially with some of our more vulnerable citizens, which are women being released from any of the jails, and especially Las Colinas. Thank you for hearing me today.
Good morning, buenos dias, Board of Supervisors. My name is Ismael Robles. I'm a proud SEIU Local 221 member. I have worked for the county for 18 months. I work in the Treasurer Tax Collector in the Financial Division. We bring in revenue of $8.4 billion. And we also support the salary adjustment for the clerk of the board, the probation chief, and the county consul. And these raises should be a benchmark for our SEIU negotiations as well. You know, 40% of the money goes to health, mental health, and homelessness. 30% goes to public safety, and the county, I think it's about 11%, 10%. And you know, I think it's time for a change for the county of employees, and we got to take care of our employees. With that, thank you very much, muchas gracias, and with gratitude, thank you.
Good morning. My name is David Gassaway. I'm 17 years of the county, union member.
Sorry, sir, I don't think I called you quite yet. I have Pam and, Edgar Gassaway. Thank you.
Edgar David Gassaway.
No worries.
Not
Continue.
So 17 years with the county, union member, and been with Public Works. A couple years ago, I spoke to the board, and well, what I spoke about has come to pass and continues. I'm all in favor of item 18. I think it's great. We also still need to address the recruitment and retention for everybody else in the county. We've got unanswered referrals for crumbling infrastructures and more deferred maintenance generating more complaints and tort claims against the county. And this is the reality of Public Works. We have to stumble through quick design and construction of emergency projects that are really deferred maintenance projects because we don't have the people. Our tiny loss mitigation team has also been overwhelmed with the increased workload as even more claims against the county pour in. So what does this have to do with retention and recruitment? Simply put, the county needs to have competitive pay and benefits. Where we can't recruit, we can't retain. This is going to be how the county leadership shows the staff that the whole thing with the culture of trust isn't just the next catchphrase. I don't have the power to do that for my staff, but you do. Like I said 2 years ago, I thank the board in advance for leadership, compassion, and the guts to do the right thing. I'm hopeful to see this fulfilled before I tender my resignation. Thank you very much for your time.
Pam, number 8, yes, believe it or not. We are a nation of Americans, and America is our home. This grant program is to be used to prepare for acts of terrorism and other catastrophic events to help ensure the safety of citizens and legal residents in this county. Ephesians 5:11 says, have nothing to do with the fruitless deeds of darkness, but rather expose them. The chair of the Board of Supervisors serves as the chair of the Unified Disaster Council. The same person, Nora, ironically now offers agenda item number 29 to not cooperate with ICE, DHS, and Border Patrol, threatening our safety. This is a conflict of interest, Nora. Today, wanting to use money to fight terrorists and refusing to cooperate to apprehend and deport them. You know, families can willingly deport along with the criminal loved one. They don't have to stay here and be separated from the one that they love. Hundreds of thousands of terrorists invaded our country, our home. The protection of innocent life will always require law, boundaries, and force. The presence of violent criminal, illegal, convicted violent criminal, illegal foreigners and terrorists is dangerous to the county motto, the noblest motive is the public good.
Thank you. I'll call the next three speakers, Steve Wehe, Noel Trejo, and Claudette Magno. Again, Steve Wehe, Noel Trejo, and Claudette Magno.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Noel Trejo, and I've been with the county for 13 years. I'm a proud SEIU member, and I work in the Department of Health and Human Services Agency. We are not going to oppose the recommendation, but I just want you to consider one important criteria, and that's contracting and redundance. Just mentioned a bit ago was the importance of welfare to work and helping people come out of poverty and sustain themselves and get good jobs. And along the way, I see people come to my office, ask for the welfare benefit, and then get turned around and told, hey, now you have to go to the contractors and start all over. I see them doing redundant work, bringing me verifications that were supposed to be for their welfare to work, and then they get canceled over there. And then we have to work it and fix it. And this contracting, I understand, is supposed to be a lot better, but if you go down to the worker bees and ask them how it's going, it's not better. People are having a hard time having their cases discontinued and continuing to face obstacles, all because on paper it looks like it's a better idea to contract out the welfare to work program instead of leave it in-house the way it used to be. I talked to some of you guys before, and you guys mentioned that our budget and our raises is we need to look at it kind of like a pie and what you're going to do with that pie. My question to all of you guys is, if we have a CAO, why is that pie taken by a CEO? Thank you.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors. My name is Steve Y. I'm a second-generation county employee, proud SEIU Local 221 union member, and have worked for the Department of Public Works in solid waste planning and recycling for the past 6 years. While we are in support of item 18, we think the same criteria should be used for all county employees. It's no secret that the county has and continues to have problems recruiting employees, as well retaining employees, as well as recruiting new ones. So long as the county continues to offer pay, pension, and benefits that are subpar, we'll continue to lose employees to competing agencies, lose collective knowledge, lose those efficiencies, and continue to find difficulties recruiting new employees. Regarding vacation time, 92% of the other 13 counties we were compared to in the equity study all receive 4 weeks or more at 10 years of service. As county workers, we have to wait an additional 5 years for the extra week of vacation. This is not equitable. Regarding the pension, all employees who started on July 1st, 2018, like myself and the 5 of you, are in Tier D, 1.62% calculation at age 65, the lowest pension tier in the entire state. All of the other 17 cities in San Diego have the equivalent of the county's pension Tier C, which is a 2% calculation at 62. Not only do we have to wait an additional 3 years to retire, our pension payments are 1/3 of those in Tier C. This is not equitable. Lastly, the county realized record property tax revenue, somewhere to the tune of $400 million, in case you're wondering how to ensure all county employees have equitable pay, pension, and benefits. We can and must do better. Thank you.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors. My name is Claudette Magno. I'm a proud SEIU 221 member and 9 years as a night shift detention nurse at George Bailey. We support item 18 for the raises, but please do not forget to have this across the board. One important criteria to consider is the contracting out. The use of contractual services of private and for-profit companies are scattered across the board in all departments within the county, and with the belief that this would be cost-effective and provide better services. Unfortunately, this is not the case, as this private and for-profit companies are not held to the same standards as county workers, and we are forced to pick up the slack and do double the job. These companies end up costing more money despite the services that they claim to provide, and that what they are providing are not up to standard. Certain medications, materials are not provided or unable to be provided to us because they are delayed and are from out of state, as most of these companies are from out of state. And there are positions that are filled up that are double compared to the companies, and then we have them within the county, therefore costing more money and pulling line staff off the floor to fill up those positions without replacement. Line staff have to follow different policies and procedures from our department, our division, and from those companies as well. The fear of contracting out is a proverbial sword tied to the ceiling that is looming over our heads, because these companies will pitch in that to our own admin and will use that to invoke fear and dissension within the department. Thank you.
Thank you. Call the next three speakers: Crystal Irving, Bryant Rumba, and Michael Brando. Again, Crystal Irving, Bryant Rumba, and Michael Brando.
Good morning. My name is Crystal Irving, and I'm proud to serve as president of SEIU Local 221. I just wanted to come behind our members that you've heard from today. We're testifying on item 18 as we go into contract negotiations for all the reasons that you've heard from our members, but also because this county does have a history of investing and treating top management differently than those who are on the front lines with their boots on the ground, when considerations around support and compensation should be one and the same. So, as you've heard, we're highlighting 4 key areas that apply to all county employees. We need to change our county culture and ensure that employees are treated with dignity and respect. We need to look at contracting policies and the negative impact it has on the services that we provide. We also need to recruit and retain the best employees in this region, and we also need to reckon with the cost of living for not just county employees, but all San Diegans. So I just want to thank you all for hearing our stories, and we look forward to collaborating on a great contract that truly reflects the value that our members of SEIU Local 221 bring and the communities that we get to serve. Thank you.
All right, still Brian Rumba. I'm kind of bummed out that Jim's not here to hear this. I'll quick touch on it. It almost seems like a lot of my fellow citizens really need to find a solution to our economic problems, maybe the inflation, that type of thing. Maybe it's something that is, slowly really drowning your average individual. I will say that some of your hourly salaries, that was, boy, I tell you what, that's quite a lot, but who am I to judge? I will be speaking on number 27, the adoption of a resolution about our election results. Like I said last time I was up here, we're still stuck in this red-blue paradigm. People are always going to kind of, keep their own interests in mind. We do not have currently the availability to really even learn from one another. And when we're talking about the responsibilities of a citizen in a republic, your voice needs to be heard. Kind of like that sign on the front of your building that says good government demands the intelligent interest of every citizen. I've seen that rule broken numerous times over 2 years. The divisiveness. What needs to happen is these citizens here, these people behind me, even the ones that work for the county or the government, the largest employer in a free and open society where government was supposed to be this big and now it's this big, okay? They need to provide that platform where elections are ran from. They need to count those votes themselves. That's possible quite easily. Public keys, private keys, encryption. Do any of you have online banking accounts? Most likely you do. You got to provide these people a way forward. Get back to God.
Michael, consent, all of them. 1, enhancing alternatives to, no. 2, second consideration of ordinance, no. 3, regional communication system customer revenue agreement, no. Request for single, this is number 5, request to waive board policy A87, no. 6, amend and extend existing single source, no. 7, an ordinance amending section, no. 8, 2024 Homeland Security Grant, no. 9, authorize acceptance of Proposition 47, no. 10, authorize procurement of a single source, no. 11, adopt a resolution, no. 12, authorize contract extensions, no. 13, authorize acceptance of, no. 14, authorize revenue agreements, no. 15, authorize single source procurement of, no. 16, approve the California Work Opportunity and Responsibility, no. No. 17, Jim, authorize a single source contract procurement with, no. The same reason applies to all of these why it's no. You don't want to hear from us. You're not representing us with this. You're representing private interests, which Consuelo already mentioned. All of you need to be censured. Just as Truth said, this is all against what's the organic founding of this country is about. It's all coming to light. Thank you.
We'll hear from the last 3 speakers in person, Mark, allegedly Audra, and Consuelo. Calling Mark, allegedly Audra, and Consuelo. Thank you. You can come forward in any order, but we are going to have to start the timer. Thank you, Mark.
Mark, 12 and 13, it hasn't even been 120 days for the audit of Equius. After some flood victims critiqued Equius for not being responsive enough to their needs and questionable invoices, and now you're extending their contract. Your homeless programs are a scam. A scam proposed 23-story high-rise in Pacific Beach has sparked protests by the PB and La Jolla Town Council, as well as everyone else. Stopping inflation and good wealth distribution is the solution. Rosa Corey talks in this video about that we have no dissent. 14, as for your children and youth behavioral health initiative, kids don't need $1.5 million spent on early childhood home visiting services focused on prevention, early intervention, and resiliency for children and youth. It is better to end inflation caused by the Federal Reserve and for the government to create the wealth distribution that everyone wants, as shown in the short YouTube video, Wealth Inequality in America. 21, property tax was declared unconstitutional by the Supreme Court in the late 1800s. It began in 1913 when the treasonous Federal Reserve Act sought to steal money from citizens directly to pay for the national debt scam outlined in this YouTube video title, from 6 minutes 40 seconds to 24 minutes. And that is this one, Zeitgeist. 24, by promoting the UN agendas against our U.S. sovereignty, both here and through Sandag, Nora Vargas is a giant conflict of interest. 27, the election results are obvious. No one can stand what the country's been doing. 28, while entering our country illegally is wrong. Oh, that's next. So, or excuse me, that's 29. So I have 11 seconds left. Everybody check out these video titles on YouTube. And they will give you more information that the right and left need to join together.
Thank you. Time's up. We'll hear from the next speaker.
My person uses the name Audra. All of these items show what treasonous traitors you guys are. The fact with number 6 that you want to use criminal justice data for analysis to support an equitable prosecutorial process when you are in fact hiding this information. You don't want this to happen with ICE individuals, people who have crossed our border illegally. So it's not equitable when you come against the people in the county. You're supposed to be doing everything you can to uphold your oath, not usurp it, and basically, do things that are going against the people. Number 8, with this invasion that we have going on, you want to protect against terrorism. We have terrorists in our nation right now that have crossed the border illegally, dropped their documents so that they are not found, and this goes against, what you guys should be doing. It's very sad to see that you're willing to allow that to happen while you'll arrest people like me for coming to a meeting, and you'll share my data, but you don't want to share theirs. And anything that you guys have to do with kids, you should absolutely have nothing to do with them, because HHS traffics children, our American children, as well as the migrant children that come across the border. Our own government has lost over 325,000 children that, right? And then you also have the Polinsky Institute, where you hired county employees who are molesting children. So you're doing anything but protecting the children. Again, I would like to ask you, where are the thousands of children that were at the convention center that were trafficked on our dime? You don't know where they're at, but you want to sit here and profess that you're going to have a responsibility to kids, that you want to improve their outcomes and different things like that. Well, you should think about what's going on that we're paying for and facilitating through foster care, HHS. You know it, Jim. You know it. And you don't ever bring up the kids, and it's very disturbing, because you guys are complicit in this. These children are missing. They go missing here in America through foster care. They're actually put on psychotropic drugs if they're molested. It's ridiculous.
Next speaker.
Okay, Consuelo. So let's see. I am going to speak on, I think I'm going to speak on all of them. Well, no. Specifically, wait, where was that one? In time, chapter agreement. Let's see. I was going to, I guess 27. Adoption of a resolution declaring election results on November the 5th. Yeah, I wanted to speak on that. I just wanted to highlight the fact that here locally, we had an option between choosing another chair and, like I mentioned in my previous speech, my non-agenda, I didn't even know who this person was running against Nora. No signage, no hardly any interviews. It was just kind of like, who who was this guy? You know, and it was just kind of like, gosh, how does one go about like choosing from a nobody to a total corrupt person? It just kind of like, so you won on name recognition. That was it. Because I see your name still posted in my city. Please remove that trash. Thank you.
Thank you. We have one more request to speak, and I'd like to invite forward Robert Pitt.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Good morning, Madam Vice Chair. Good morning, other members of the board. My name is Robert Pitt. I'm a child support officer with the county, have been so for more than 22 years. I'm also, as you might be able to tell, a proud member of SEIU, and that's the reason I'm here today. I'm a worker in the county. You're workers in the county. I'm here to speak on agenda item 18 in support of the probation chief, the clerk of the board, and of county council. They're county employees also. They're not part of my union, but they are a county worker, and I share in their desire to have fair and equitable compensation. I believe that the county can approach this as all creatures, great and small, deserve to be treated fairly and equitably. I hope that this board will do that. You'll approve item number 18, and then carry that mindset into the upcoming negotiations, because I truly look forward to negotiating with you in the coming year. I hope that this turns out to be the greatest contract I've ever seen. The last one was really, really good. I'm hoping that as a team we can do better. Thank you for your time. I greatly thank you for your patience and for your service. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now hear from those that requested to speak by phone. When it is your turn to speak, you'll be unmuted. You will hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments after the beep. I'd like to remind the callers that they should mute their TV or live video stream before they begin speaking, and we'll go ahead and begin with our first caller.
Gambler here. Oh my goodness, there's so many things to talk about. So I'm going to summarize it. You guys broke election law 18501. There is no question about that. And because of that, you guys are going to go ahead and pass anything that you wish to pass. Let me go ahead and explain 18501. You cannot hide voter fraud. So if I wanted to go ahead and request to take a look at signatures, you cannot tell me no. You cannot file a restraining order saying that I cannot ask that question. By doing so, and Nora taking off during a Board of Supervisors meeting to throw me in jail over this. Yes, the meeting that you supposedly had an appointment to go to the doctor? No, what you were doing was filling out paperwork to put me in jail that night. Unfortunately, Officer Rocha was too damn scared of Luke and Audra and drove right by and chose to arrest me the next morning. When that happened, all 5 of you are now also culpable in 18501. You guys are also blocking someone from looking into voter fraud. There you go. That's the evidence I need for voter fraud. Now all I need to do is find a lawyer to go after you and throw you in jail. Congratulations for because you cannot understand normal thinking. I repeat, you cannot understand normal thinking. Do I make myself clear? Do you have anything to say? I'm waiting. Nothing? Do you understand that you broke the law? And the newspaper printed it.
Thank you. Your time is up. We're going to go to our next speaker.
Hello, can you hear me? Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We can hear you.
Okay, thanks. Let's say 19, no to racially oriented business districts. Number 6, the justice data analysis. This is artificial intelligence, basically old algorithms cranked up to a new level of distortion. I've seen how AI can be used to manipulate data or pictures. I've seen a photo manipulated to show the same person as black, white, Asian, and other races. So get over the text fixation. And words are often used differently in each generation. For instance, words like bloody in England mean something totally different from the way it's used here. AI is highly unlikely to grasp this sort of change in a meaningful way. So, human interpretation is always needed. This is in response to a 2022 law requiring people to compare the AI version to the non-AI version, both of which, by the way, could be messed with. This is a huge waste of time and taxpayer dollars. If you haven't done this since 2022, don't do it at all. 9. Prop 47 failed miserably. It did nothing to improve the big cities for which it was intended, nor is there any attachment to explaining.
Thank you. Your time is up. We'll go to our next speaker.
Hello, my name is Madison Rapp. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today in support of Consent Item 14, the authorization of revenue agreements with Medi-Cal managed care plans, the approval of single-source procurement, and the acceptance of funding from the Children and Youth Behavioral Health Initiative grant. This measure is a critical step in growing behavioral health and substance use challenges faced by our youth, particularly those from disadvantaged backgrounds. We know that childhood is a time of critical development, and untreated mental health issues or substance use can have long-lasting effects. Adolescents struggling with substance use are more likely to experience mental health disorders, engage in risky behaviors, and face significant barriers to success in school and life. For children in disadvantaged communities, these issues are often compounded by poverty, housing instability, and exposure to substance use in their homes or neighborhoods. Early intervention can break this cycle, providing youth with the treatment, counseling, and family support they need to recover and thrive. By supporting this measure, we are investing in the health and well-being of our children, improving their chances for a successful future, and strengthening our community as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you. Go to our next speaker.
Good morning, this is Cindy Walker. I want to thank Jim Desmond for bringing forward consent calendar item number 1. It's a smart and equitable way to address barriers that individuals face upon release from detention. The initiative promotes equitable access to resources that reduce recidivism, and it supports successful reintegration. This is good for the community. Item 26, not so much. As a public health advocate, I do not support further cannabis expansion. Between the current legal and overwhelming illegal markets, we're oversaturated already with high-potency THC. There's no data to show any positive community benefit from more weed shops. Please don't approve this one. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to our next speaker.
Good morning, Honorable Supervisors. My name is Ditas Yamani, currently the Vice Mayor for the City of National City and representing Council District 3, the Empowerment District. This is for Agenda Item 19. I am thankful on behalf of Council District 3 for your consideration to explore, to establish procedures and requirements for the formation and operation of business improvement districts, to provide improvements and other benefits in supporting the Filipino-American small businesses and exploring funding opportunities to support Filipino arts and culture and to celebrate the Filipino heritage in San Diego County. I look forward to this collaboration and working together to elevate the diverse cultural activities within communities, much like District 3 in National City takes pride in. I believe that together we can make a significant impact and fan the flames of culture, unity, and tradition. Supervisor Desmond, I look to you, sir, over here. Please reconsider your vote for the many and thousands of AAPI and the Filipino-American communities who support you and contribute to the economic heartbeat of this region. Onwards and upwards, thank you so very much. Maraming salamat po, maligayang Pasko, at mabuhay po kayong lahat.
Thank you. We'll go to our next speaker.
Unity and tradition. Supervisor Desmond, I look to you, sir, over here.
Kathleen, you need to mute your audio, your TV.
And the Filipino-American community who support you.
Kathleen,
Contribute to the economic heartbeat
we'll come back to you.
region.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors. This is Ann Riddle calling in regarding consent items 26 and consent item 17 and 14 as well. I was particularly impressed regarding item 14 and its recognition that a third of our counties are on Medicare and the safety net that it provides. Goes on to mention that we also have a higher prevalence. Our Medicare Cal members have a higher rate of heart disease, asthma, and stroke, and a higher rate of emergency care. I think when we look at the type of money we're talking about throwing at these problems, we should look at the environmental causes behind them. The NIDA, or the National Institute of Drug Abuse, just released their concern about the environments that our lower socioeconomic population is experiencing. And they pointed out that they live in communities where there are more alcohol liquor stores, more tobacco shops, more marijuana pot shops, and that these influence the choices that are going on around us, for them, particularly their young people. And they mentioned that these three commercial outlets are sell disease-causing products. They go on to mention that great progress had been made in reducing smoking in the United States, and that improved all of our health, particularly those of the less fortunate, greatly. But now the cannabis industry has presented new opportunities to drag our young people and others back into drug consumption, especially smoking. And they point out that products are sold in colorful packages.
Thank you. Your time is up. We'll go to our next speaker.
Or to sell disease-causing products.
Okay, Kathleen, it's your turn again. Are you there?
Smoking in the United States. And that includes
Chairwoman Vargas, Vice Chair Lawson-Remer, not getting any response from Kathleen. That's going to conclude the public comment on the items on the consent calendar.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, great. So we have a motion on the floor and we have a second. Please call the vote.
Thank you. And Chairwoman Vargas, that motion passes unanimously with all supervisors who are present and voting aye. And just to note for the record, Supervisor Desmond did register a no vote for item number 19 and 26.
Thank you very much. We'll now move to discussion items, which include items 29 through 38, 41, and 42 on our regular agenda, as well as item 1 from the Fire Protection District. We will begin with item 30, and then we will move to item 29. and then proceed to item 31. And items 38 and Fire Protection District, item 1 will be heard concurrently. So again, we will begin with item 30. Then we will proceed to item 29, and then we will hear item 31. And we will, after item 31, we'll proceed with the plan to order. And items 38 and Fire Protection District 1 will be heard concurrently. So with that, let's begin with item 30. I'd like to turn it over to our chairwoman for a few remarks before we have public comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Absolutely, safety must remain a top priority for every battery energy storage and system. And I want to thank our county team for all the work in establishing and protecting guidelines and recommendations. But my understanding is that in order for us to provide flexibility to our fire chief in determining setbacks and distances between containers and to be consistent with federal and state standards, which are scheduled to be released next year in 2025, I'm going to make a motion to continue this item and come back in 90 days until we hear back from the additional information so that there is no confusion.
So just to repeat, for folks who potentially couldn't hear, our chairwoman has made a motion to continue this item because apparently there are some new fire guidelines coming down from the state, and she wanted to make sure we could include consideration of the new California state fire guidelines as we look at what we want to do with our own fire protection regarding battery storage. Did I capture that correctly?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, greatly. So we, thank you. So we have a motion. If anyone, if any of my colleagues don't mind, I'd like to turn it to public comment. Then we can turn back to the board to have comments and a discussion. So, thank you. With that, please.
Question. So when is the state coming out with these new guidelines? Beginning of the year.
To repeat, for those who might not have heard, the beginning of the year. Is that correct?
Yeah, so the request for the continuation, I would need a second to the motion in order for the discussion to be on the continuation and not on the actual item. So if I don't have a vote, I don't have a vote.
Okay, I'm happy to second, but I do want to hear from our chief.
Okay. Supervisor Desmond, you want to hear from the chief?
Please.
Okay.
Good morning, Supervisors. First, I'd like you to thank you for moving the agenda item. We have a kind of a rapidly expanding fire in South County. So there's two governing documents that we use, and that is the National Fire Protection Association document 855 and what will be the new California Fire Code. The NFPA 855 document is scheduled to be out late spring. We anticipate in May. The California Fire Code, we as a fire protection agency will get a preview of that document again in April or May. The state has to have the new code out by July 1. So I just want to make sure that the 90 days would not give staff enough time to review either the NFPA or the California Fire Code. However, we could move forward with some level of interim guidelines if that's what the board chose to do between now and then. Thank you.
I heard, I'm sorry, I heard differently from the commission because the commission is also working on specific items, and so I'm sorry that we have misinformation. I wish I had somebody from the state here who can actually provide that information, but which is why I wanted to. This is why I wanted to do a continuation and not have a presentation. So the way the rules work is that when you ask for a continuation and you have a second on that continuation, the public now speaks to the motion of continuation. There's no additional conversation about the issue. And that's actually procedure. We just kind of went the other way.
Can't ask a technical question?
Well, I have a motion on the floor and you second that motion. And so it's fine. I think we can ask those questions.
I just want to find out when he thinks it's going to happen. I guess from the motion, I'm assuming it's going to happen in January or something like that. But from his answer, it's not. I thought it seems maybe later in the year. So what month do you anticipate that we might be hearing this back?
If I can just ask that staff respond through the chair.
Okay.
For Chair Vargas, we anticipate the NFPA guidance document to be released in May and the new version of the fire code to be released July 1. Those are the two documents that ultimately guide and give me the authority as the fire chief to make changes to the fire code or bring forward additional recommendations.
Okay. All right, thanks. Thank you. So we do have a motion on the floor, and Supervisor Desmond, was that a second of that motion? I'd like to go to public comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Lawson-Remer. We have 31 requests to speak on this item, 14 in person and 17 requesting to speak by phone. Also note that we received 8 e-comments, 2 in favor, 4 in opposition, and 2 neutral. Any individuals that requested to speak on item 30 by phone, please dial into the conference line using the instructions that were provided to you. We'll begin with the in-person speakers, starting with those in favor of this item. As your name is called, please come forward and stand on the arrows until it is your turn to speak. I'll be calling you in groups of 3, so I'll ask you to please listen for your name. I'd like to invite forward Jim Whalen, Cesar Javier, and Corey Schumacher. I've called your name. Please come forward. You'll have 1 minute to address the board. And again, the motion before the board is to continue this item, so I'll ask you to keep your comments to the continuance. Thank you.
Speaking in favor of the continuance, and we're working closely with staff on some of the other issues. Thanks.
Thank you. Next speaker, please. Cesar Javier, Corey Schumacher.
I changed my stand. I am against because I haven't heard the inputs, new evidences. But this is my comment. Modern society needs energy for mobility, circulation, communication, community engagement. The battery is known as hazard or toxic. Therefore, sites or location of the storage must be possibly, or reduced to potential impact to health and safety, including the surrounding environment. As I see the print, the compound needs some kind of a cover, you know, like when you...
Thank you. Your time is up. Thank you. I'll call the remaining speakers in favor, Joe Rowley and Mary Davis. I've called your name. Please come forward. Next speaker, please. Again, if I've called your name, Corey Schumacher, Joe Rowley, and Mary Davis.
Good morning. My name is Corey Schumacher. I'm here on behalf of IBW 569, representing 3,700 union electricians, 2,600 members of which live in the unincorporated area of San Diego County. We are here to support the continuation. Also, this would allow time to address some of the a main omission that's currently in the interim fire protection guidelines, which is that there are no minimum workforce safety standards that are incorporated. Fire detection is one thing. Fire and explosion prevention remain unaddressed. We provided data analysis from the Electrical Power Research Institute, which is the most comprehensive database on BESS incidents available, and it clearly shows that the most common root cause of BESS failures results from work during installation, commission, and maintenance. We have therefore recommended 3 workforce safety standards, and we hope you will consider them. We look forward to having this conversation in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
My name is Joe Rowley. I'm a former developer of large-scale energy projects and a county resident. I currently consult on site selection for BESS projects. I'm in support of the interim guidelines. I am opposed to the continuity on the need for guidance so that developers are not proposing projects in locations that are inappropriate. And to kick the can down the road at this point, months later, really does not make any sense. The NFPAs are in a constant state of revision, and so is the Consolidated Fire Code. Waiting for new revisions for the NFPA 855 or the Fire Code makes no sense at all. They're in a constant state of revision. I'm not aware of any guidelines coming down from the Energy Commission.
Thank you. Next speaker, please. As the next speaker is coming forward, I'd like to invite the first 3 speakers in opposition. Luke Rogers, Michael Nicholas, and Mark. If I've called your name, please come forward.
Hi, good morning, Oliver Twist. And I do find it ironic that this item is heard or now being continued on a day where we have these severe wind warnings that speaks to the fire hazard in the backcountry. You see, I have a list up there. And so first and foremost is why were the fire hazard severity maps not incorporated? Also, I'm asking for consistent land use standards. Just in September, you said it was too dangerous to put new developments in very high fire hazard severity zones. So please align this with your climate action plan and keep that consistent. If you can switch. What I'm really here to, my big ask is something that's been omitted is 2 points of egress. The yellow line is Sequan Truck Trail where one is being proposed. You'll see that red circle is people, it's one way in, one way out. They would be trapped should the Santa Ana winds come blowing during a best fire. So make 2 point egress a requirement. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
My name is Luke Rogers. Good morning, Chair Vargas and members of the board. Thanks for your time today. I'm here representing the AES company, and I wanted to highlight for you that the proposed guidelines do contain some fatal flaws that we've identified that, if approved as is, would halt the development of battery storage projects in the county. So respectfully, we're requesting some more time to work with the Fire Protection District on the good groundwork they've put into place. So yeah, we respectfully request the board continue this item to enable stakeholders meaningful time to keep working together with county fire officials to develop guidelines that provide for robust safety requirements while still enabling the best industry to continue to develop projects in the county. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Mark, so I suspect that they're just talking about the new requirement being keeping these battery storage units in a container. They're often in residential areas, which is really, really dangerous either way. The fires can't be stopped. Even when they think they've stopped them, they just reignite. They create toxic gas. And strangely, I can't remember the name of the alternate type of nuclear reactors there were in 1970. Nixon was given two choices. He, of course, chose the wrong one, which was uranium-238. And I apologize, I can't think of the alternate form, but it's much safer, it's efficient, and it's everywhere. It's abundant, it's not really radioactive and all that. There are better forms of energy, and we're not choosing them, or our government is not choosing them on purpose, intentionally. Especially putting 238 reactors without any kind of substrate for earthquakes and such. It was intentional.
Thank you. As the next speaker is coming forward, I'd like to invite 3 additional speakers in opposition: Bryant Rumbaugh, Sean Waslaw, and Lauren Cazares. If I've called your name, please come forward.
Good morning. My name is Michael Nicholas, retired fire captain and assistant fire marshal from Kern County Fire Department, where I was in charge of our battery energy storage program, implementation, and operation of it. Kern County currently has the largest battery energy storage project in the world at 3.2 gigawatt hours, partially supporting Edwards Air Force Base. I'm here speaking on behalf of CISA in support of the request for the continuation to address some of the considerations that we have that are inconsistent with the ordinance versus what's going to be coming out in NFPA. First of all, the separation distances. The ordinance looks at plume modeling to provide the usable data to define the separation distances. The separation distance goal is to limit propagation between enclosures. This is based on heat generation and explosive evaluations. This information is not included in plume modeling. The large-scale fire test is the critical data that will yield the appropriate separation distances, and that would be included in the hazard mitigation analysis, which would be stamped by your professional engineers. NFPA currently 855 purposely excluded the plume studies.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good morning, Chair Vargas and Board of Supervisors. My name is Lauren Cazares, and I'm here on behalf of the San Diego Regional Chamber of Commerce. whose mission is to make the region the best place to live and work. The Chamber represents over 2,200 member businesses and 300,000 jobs regionally, and we are proud supporters of battery energy storage systems, aka BESS. We respectfully request the continuation of item 30 until County Fire and Public Safety Group can work with the California Energy Services Association or Emergency Service Association and the National Fire Protection Association to better align requirements with existing code and best practices. As it stands, the proposal today without continuance is a de facto moratorium on BESS throughout the county, specifically as it relates to permitting, setbacks, and plume modeling. BESS are extremely important to reaching climate and energy goals, creating and maintaining grid stability, and are an essential piece in the continuum of local jobs. We ask that you consider continuing the item to a future meeting to ensure county requirements reflect the strongest national standards. Thank you.
Next speaker, please. This next speaker is coming forward. I'd like to invite the remaining speakers in opposition, allegedly Audra and Consuelo. If I've called your name, please come forward.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Supervisors. My name is Sean Waslaw. I'm a resident of San Diego County and Director of Development at NextEra Energy, the largest developer of wind and solar energy in the world, and responsible for building over 20% of the 13 gigawatts of battery storage in California. I support the continuance. The currently proposed guidelines and the decision you have to make on them is bigger than Otay Mesa and Escondido. What you decide today is being watched by many other counties that are adjusting to a California that needs 4 times the amount of battery storage that it has today. Yet the proposed guidelines were made without the direct input of many of the stakeholders with deep expertise in battery storage. It was made without consulting the governor's office, the state fire marshal, the CPUC, the CEC, the NFPA or UL, and their hundreds of fire safety experts. Before you are guidelines that are not the product of thorough stakeholder process. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
All right, still Bryant Rumbaugh. Jim, good to see you back. Hey, I do support this continuation. You know, these are very interesting times that we're living in. A lot of information is coming out. I would like to actually talk to the fire chief. You know, just a FYI to you, there is apparently a group of, you know, let's call them scholars in the Philippines, and they actually created I'm going to use the word fire extinguisher that actually utilizes sound waves. Okay, you can do this research on your time off, but it is actually going to eventually take precedence, obviously, over our conventional fire extinguishers. It utilizes sound waves only at 80 decibels, which I'm sure the code enforcement in this beautiful county, they're aware of what their noise pollution laws are. But to be honest with you, it's not loud. It's not even as loud as my voice. Okay? You know,
thank you. Next speaker, please.
Andrew, you're here. Just wondering. My person uses the name Audra. Misinformation, Nora. It's so funny that you say that, because this is all based off of propaganda anyway, and everything you do is misinformation. So it's quite interesting. And, you know, it's funny because there is a fire in East County at Barrett Junction. Is that done by an illegal alien that was crossing over the bridge? Probably. But we don't need to worry about that, right? Let's just worry about putting more fire hazards near where people live. It's interesting because we don't have to go down this route, but you're willing to put people's lives in danger just to push your climate God agenda. You don't really care about the people if their lives are at risk, if they could potentially lose everything, because look what happens in the storm. Do you do anything to make sure people get their lives back together? No, you do not. Do you make sure that they don't? It's so good, right, Nora? Is this misinformation? Is it? Or you can't talk. How are your nads doing? Good? Good.
Next speaker, please. Final call for Consuelo.
Okay, Consuelo. Okay, so first off, continuation. First off, I'd like to point out how we got Tara acting as if she's clarifying for Nora, as though she's in need of an interpreter. Then she ends it by saying, is that right? Yeah, that's how government works. It doesn't. And let's see, the fact that we now have wildfire warnings in December is mind-blowing. To all county residents living near a lithium bomb battery storage facility, I need to remind you that it's not a matter of if there will be a fire, it's a matter of when there'll be a fire. Are you prepared? Have you considered all that you'll be having to deal with, things like insurance and the loss of your home and belongings? See, these facilities are purposeful and temporary to fulfill an agenda.
Thank you. We'll now hear from those that requested to speak by phone. When it is your turn to speak, you will be unmuted and you will hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments after the beep. I'd like to remind the callers they should mute their TV or live video stream before they begin speaking. We will start with our first caller.
Hi, Rahima Mali, Deputy Director for Energy and Climate at the Governor's Office of Business and Economic Development. GOBIS supports the continuation by the board to allow more time for stakeholders to review and work on the guidelines. You know, battery storage projects are an integral part of our power grid system, and the state has installed more than 10,000 megawatts of battery storage, providing reliable power during times of need. While we have deployed many of these projects, the technology is fairly new. There are fire safety concerns and the impact on the communities near and around where the projects are built. The systems that were installed 10 years ago have evolved, and improvements to the technology continue. Recognizing this, the informational exchange between communities, local responders, developers, and manufacturers on how to safely install and operate these systems is critical. Over the next several years, we expect to bring online 12 gigawatts of new energy.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the next caller.
Hi, good afternoon. This is Serena Pelka from Climate Action Campaign, supporting the continuance until further analysis of impacts from the standards are completed. Battery energy storage systems ensure everyone has access to reliable energy, which is a basic human need. And keeping the lights on saves lives and keeps our economy running. There are major ramifications of restricting new BESS projects to the extent of the proposed standards without enough time to review and assess its impacts. The magnitude at which our region and the state is relying on battery storage to keep the lights on cannot be understated. We need thoughtful policymaking that prioritizes safety and the ability for BESS projects to bring benefits to San Diego County and enable us to move away from polluting gas infrastructure that burdens frontline communities first and worst and provides stability to the grid. We urge you to please support the continuance of this item. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the next caller.
Gambler here. How you guys doing? Obviously, this has nothing to do with the Green New Deal or anything like this, and this is not crucial because, matter of fact, the greatest game of Command and Conquer I ever played was against a cheater map. This cheater map, they had 75% of the map that they could build all over the place. I only had like 25%, me and my brother, fighting against these guys. One of them was, my brother was U.S., I was China. In this instance, I built a bunch of Gatling guns. They could not fly over and destroy us in this fashion. They had to send units over. I ended up winning that match with my brother because we used 2 units, only 2, to destroy their entire base. All we did was we sent people into there and destroyed the energy facilities. You made it extremely easy to go ahead and destroy them.
Thank you. Now I hear from the next caller.
Good afternoon, members of the board. My name is Tessa Sanchez, and I represent Tesla, a manufacturer of grid-scale energy storage systems produced here in California. I will keep my comments short. We agree with many of the points made by prior commenters, particularly those from the California Energy Storage Alliance, and are in support of the continuation of this item. Thank you.
Thank you. Now hear from the next caller.
Good morning, Supervisors. My name is Scott Murdershaw, and I'm the Executive Director of the California Energy Storage Alliance. We strongly support the continuance of Item 30. The NFPA 855 standard is the national standard that governs the safety of energy storage systems and is developed over a 3-year cycle by a technical committee of over 50 firefighters, fire protection engineers, and manufacturers. We found several requirements in the interim guidelines that are inconsistent with, even contradictory to, the currently applicable 2023 NFPA 855 standard. We respect the fire district, but they simply didn't have enough time for a thorough consultation with state and national energy storage safety experts. More energy storage is urgently needed to maintain grid reliability because we have to retire thousands of megawatts of old coastal gas-fired power plants in Southern California by 2026. Continuance will provide district staff more time to engage with NFPA 855 technical committee members and other experts. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Now hear from the next caller.
Paula Bold. Let's see. What did I want to say? I don't favor continuance so much as stop and rethink this and report a moratorium. The SCG Escondido best caught fire despite smoke and heat detectors. Technology by cell phone save us. The best lobby should have thought of these things first, but the small risks they advertise are rapidly becoming huge risks. Another huge issue is that best fires burn 2 or 3 times hotter than wildfires. Hot enough to melt them.
Thank you. Now hear from the next caller.
My name is Stephanie Baxter. Good morning. I serve on the Fallbrook Community Planning Group, and I'm speaking to you as a resident of Fallbrook. The Fallbrook Community Planning Group and the Chamber of Commerce wrote a resolution regarding battery energy storage facilities, their position, concerns, and recommendations. I commend the fire personnel on proactively establishing interim safety standards. If the guidelines won't come out for several months and there are open applications for more of these facilities, we need something to go off of right now. So while I support the interim guidelines, understanding that there might be more that needs to be added or considered or researched or discussed with relevant stakeholders, this is urgent now for safety, well-being, and economic prosperity of our communities. A continuance gives preference to the stakeholders, not the residents. We need help now. The interim...
Thank you. Hear from the next caller.
Hi, JP Fedverge, Open Forest, Harmony Grove Town Council, representing 4,500 residents in the unincorporated county. The best industry is growing rapidly, driven by push for great efficiency and green energy, laudably. However, as a for-profit business, it has inherent conflicts of interest, prioritizing profits and downplaying harms to neighbors and sensitive receptors. It's the county's responsibility to ensure that in our drive to decarbonize, we don't impose undue burdens on unincorporated county residents who happen to have the largest number of disadvantaged communities in the county. While the county staff did not exactly adjust the board's original request for a residential buffer, we believe that current interim guidelines are a step in the right direction. We still believe that more aggressive setbacks should be developed based on some dispersion modeling reflecting reasonable worst-cause scenario. It's important to push back on the industry narrative that fires are very rare. Data from the industry's own failure database has tracked at least 90 major best fires, most of them since 2021. The failure rate is 1 best fire per 1,000 megawatt hours every 5 years. Newer facilities like Seguro of the same size can expect 6 to 12.
Thank you. Now hear from the next caller.
Good morning. My name is Josh Adams, and I'm the battery energy storage fire safety expert for NextEra Energy, the largest developer of battery energy storage in North America. I'm speaking in support of a continuance on this item. Before you are guidelines that are not the product of a thorough stakeholder process and that potentially serve as a de facto moratorium without actually improving the safety of BESS. These guidelines were written for failures of facilities installed prior to the existence of today's codes and standards. If the county wishes to adopt guidance today, it should adopt the latest version of NFPA 855, which has been updated twice since 2020 and will be updated again next year, has been thoroughly vetted by hundreds of fire safety experts nationally, and has contributed to a sterling safety record for facilities that meet its requirements. It's because of NFPA 855 that California has 15 times more storage than it did 5 years ago, while safety incidents have plummeted. I urge the support of this continuance.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the next caller. Next caller is Corey DePietro. Your device might be muted. We will come back to that caller.
Yes, hi. Yeah, this is Corey.
Okay, go ahead.
Can you hear me? Yeah, I just wanted to, I'm actually not, I'm opposed of the continuation. I don't know why we call it continuation. It's really just a delay. And it's not just a short delay. It's not a 90 window delay. It's we're talking about 7 months as we call it out to July 1st, which if you listen to objectively to all the comments that are coming through today, I say this all the time, but it's really clear. I think we have to be kind of remembering that all the comments that come through that are basically wanting to kick the can down the road are bureaucrats and paid employees. And the fact is, every person that comes out, that's a person like me, a resident who has to live around these areas, are the ones that have to deal with it on a daily basis. They're the ones that are talking about the safety. I mean, it's objective thought about being safe, having these best installations away from residents, but we don't do that. We want to keep kicking the can down the road because it's cheaper to put in residential areas. And so we all have to pay for it. Bureaucrats got to step out. And the paid employees, get off the phone. Stop giving your comments. We don't care about your comments.
Thank you. We'll hear from the next caller.
Good morning. Kathleen Lipp is here. My undergraduate work is in environmental science, and I support a continuance on this item because the rush to approve massive energy storage facilities is far less about science and far more about politics. Please listen to your unincorporated communities. These places are being placed next to residential areas that will put those residents at risk. This industry is evolving very, very rapidly, and that is reason enough to put a stop to it and do it on an experimental basis. But to go ahead and cover our lands with these energy storage places that are likely going to become fallow, they are likely to go bankrupt, just like over 125 previous energy facilities, solar facilities, did during the Obama administration. All that taxpayer money went down the drain.
Thank you. Hear from the next caller. Next caller is Paul Hayes. Your device might be muted.
Am I coming through now?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. So I am Paul Hayes. I'm a fire protection engineer and a principal member on NFPA 855. A lot of the code changes that are coming were handled by my task group. I'm in support of continuance because there's some technical issues that need to be resolved that are not going to provide additional safety. I applaud the first responders and the efforts they made on the recent battery fires. They did an excellent job. But things like plume modeling is not set up for separation. That should be large-scale fire test. You guys should hire a expert to back up and review any applications as an SME and put that price on the applicants. Additionally, explosion control should be managed through exhaust ventilation, explosion control and not exhaust ventilation. Those are just some of the technical issues that we would like to see addressed. Thank you.
Thank you. And Chairwoman Vargas and Vice Chair Lawson-Remer, that concludes public comment on this item.
Okay, thank you very much. So just to remind everyone where we are, we have a motion on the floor that's been seconded. The motion is to continue this item. There was not a date specified for when that would come back. So right now we're having a discussion about this item and the continuance. I needed some clarification sort of structurally and procedurally from the chief. I think my first question, so if you don't mind, I have a few questions, as I often do. So my first question was just to better understand procedurally. I'm a little confused why we're being asked to vote, because I think it's up to you, right? You're the chief of what our fire standards are, and I just was hoping you could talk a little bit about it. Is this something that you could or would do regardless of board action? If you could just kind of clarify.
Supervisor Lawson-Remer through the chair. So under the fire code gives me the authority to make facts and findings on specific projects based on things that are currently not in the fire code. We recently initiated technical studies on all best projects that are coming forward. And we plan to continue those so that we can look at the site safety requirements for each individual project and then make findings to support additional safety measures that may not currently be in the fire code. Additionally, we already enforce 100-foot defensible space in high and very high wildland fire areas, and 4 of the 5 projects that are currently within our jurisdiction are already subject to that requirement. So I think my intent would be that we would continue to work with the applicants on each individual project using the technical studies to ensure that the projects are built to the best safety standards until we can complete additional stakeholder input and go through the NFPA 855 and the California Fire Code, and I think get to a place where we have much more clarity long range on what our standards are going to be.
So just to clarify, if we regardless of what our vote is today, that's what you're going to do. You're going to continue to look at each project to try to ensure that it's fire safe, and 4 of the 5 already have a 100-foot perimeter. What about the 5th one? Is that a project you're going to, do you think you would need to change it, or just kind of better understanding?
Again, Supervisor, through the chair, we have already notified the applicant of that requirement, and we're waiting for their essentially resubmittal to get back to us on the status of their project.
So you've already told them you're expecting that they need to have 100 feet, and that you're expecting they're going to be able to do that. Okay, so just to clarify, 5 of the 5 projects that are underway are going to meet what you've suggested here today. And regardless of what we vote on today, you're going to continue making sure that for every project, you're working with the applicants to apply best practice fire standards to protect our communities. And that appears to be looking like what you suggested, which was this 100-foot and then the 10-foot in between each container. I just want to make sure I'm completely clear, because we're being asked to vote on something, but it sounds like you're doing it.
Supervisor, through the chair, that is correct, and I want to assure the board, my highest priority is to protect not only the safety of the public, but the safety of our first responders, and I think continuing to look at these projects on a project-by-project basis until we have additional guidance document is certainly a good way to go forward.
Okay. And then the next question I had is, your understanding is that we'd get more info from the state, not till January, not till July, but Chairwoman, you were under the impression it would be towards the beginning of the year that we'd get more info from the state.
Yes, that we can work together with the state to make sure that we're following the guidelines that they will be proposing.
Okay.
And I'm not sure if people can hear me, but that way there is no confusion, because then we create an ordinance and then it won't be complying with the state. I think in the end, the fire chief having the ability to do this work in the meantime, I think is critical to this.
Great. So with that, I think what I'd love to do, I'd be happy to support a continuance to January. Could be the first or second meeting of January, leaving it really to the fire chief. And if we could come back with, if we have the information from that time from the state, but just under the understanding that this isn't going to slow down your work, Chief. You're going to continue working with all the project applicants, continue keeping our community safe. It's not going to change anything you're going to do. Is that correct?
Supervisor Rossmarin, through the chair again. We won't have that guidance from the state in January. Again, we don't expect to get the guidance from the NFPA or the state until late spring. The state fire code, the next update, the requirement is that the state releases that by July 1, and then we essentially start a 6-month process working with it.
Let me just clarify something. So if you like, so that there's clarity, I can request a 90-day continuance so that there is the opportunity so that we get something back within the 90 days, and that way, if we need to vote on this item the way it is, then we vote on this item, or we have more direction from the state. I mean, it is right December 10th today, and so trying to get something before the next 2 meetings I think would be tough. But I think knowing that the chief can still make those decisions and has made those recommendations, I think gives me some, peace of mind in terms of what is taking place right now. But 90 days gives us enough ample time. They may get it sooner, they may get it later, but it doesn't just kind of.
That makes sense. I mean, my big concern is just making sure, the chief, that you're going to be able to this isn't going to hold you back. Us taking a little time to get a little more info from the state isn't going to hold you back in applying interim guidelines.
That is correct.
Okay, great. In that case, as long as it's 90 days, I'd be happy to support that as well. So do we have any comments from any of my colleagues? Supervisor Desmond.
Supervisor Desmond has to accept the motion because Matt?
No. But I'd like to make a comment first.
Please.
Thank you. I want to thank county staff and CAL FIRE for coming back so quickly with this. Originally, when I proposed this several months ago, I wanted a moratorium on all new buildings. And then the compromise was, well, you're going to come back at the end of this year with some guidelines. Now it seems like we're not going to get those guidelines until January of next year, or approving new guidelines from the state until January. And I understand from our vice chair's conversation with you that you can implement some of these things, but I think we got to give you some backing, because if you're implementing stuff that's not in the guidelines that are just yours and not codified by this board, then you possibly have lawsuits coming from the industry. So I've got to say, I'm not against these best projects, but when they're catching fire and being proposed near homes and other sensitive areas, I think safety has to be the #1 priority for us, for the safety of the public. So I think these interim fire guidelines will help us make these projects safer while we wait for the full ordinance to return to the board, which now is going to be a year away, it sounds like, for the full ordinance. As technology continues to evolve, so should our regulations and practices. I'd like to see the county fire continue work with the industry to come to a consensus on best practices and adjust it with the changing technology, but we still have to be safe. If you say you need 10 feet, I have no way to, between these the containers, I have no idea. It's not up to me to say, no, you only need 8. I mean, I trust and if you need 100 feet, and I trust your professionalism on that. I can't change that. So I want to see you keep working with the industry, but we got to keep it safe. There's pressure to take action today because there are currently 10 projects in the pipeline. And the more we learn, the technology becomes safer, and I think we can make amendments. But however, in the immediate future, County Fire is recommending guidelines, believing that they will make the project safer and encouraging County Fire and enabling County Fire to respond better in case there's an emergency. So with that, I'm going to withdraw my second because I did that before I found out how long, I got clarification on how long it was going to take. So I'm going to not be in support of the continuation and withdraw the second. Thank you.
Okay, Supervisor Montgomery Stepp.
Oh, sorry, excuse me,
yes.
If I may. Chairwoman, if I may just ask council to clarify legality of the chief's actions.
Thank you, through the chair.
The fire chief under the code has the authority to make those decisions regarding safety and fire-related safety measures. He has that discretion conferred upon him already under existing state law. So whether the board approves the guidelines or not, the fire chief has the ability to make those decisions and implement them as deemed appropriate in his professional expertise.
Can I ask a follow-up? So thank you so much. I appreciate it. That was an incredibly helpful clarification. So whether we vote on this today or not, the fire chief is going to implement guidelines to protect that are in his discretion. Is that, and has the legal authority to do that?
The fire chief has the... So the fire chief has the authority to enact more stringent regulations that are than those that are already authorized under the fire code as he deems appropriate. To do so, he also can enact additional best facility, like he can take and determine what needs to be done in relationship to the battery energy storage systems prior to the fire code adoption based on the gaps that are already existing or to elaborate on what's needed under the existing fire code under the provisions of 102.9. So those already exist. Whether he adopts guidelines or not, he still has the discretion to make the decisions on a case-by-case basis.
Thank you. Supervisor Montgomery-Stepp.
Thank you. That was my first question, so I think that's clarified for me. What I didn't want to do is have us move forward today with a continuance without having guidelines in place with the protections that are lined out currently that are in front of us. So my understanding is that you can continue as you see fit as the chief. Okay. My second question is for this board. I really, I do not want to be arbitrary about this and the timing. So if we're saying that we are waiting on the state, and the chief has told us that we will not be getting anything concrete back from the state at least until May, then why are we doing 90 days? Because what I don't want is where we are now. We first asked for this to come back within a certain amount of time. Everyone's scrambling to do that. Now we're saying we need to continue it to 90 days. Why? I think if the chief can implement what he deems necessary and safe at this point, then we are effectively making a decision to wait on the state if it's about the state. Now, if it's about stakeholders who are here today, let's just say that, and then we can move forward with that. But I don't, this is not, we need to make it make sense. And for me right now, it doesn't with the 90 days. So I just would like clarification, explanation on that. Maybe I'm missing something.
So in the interest of moving the item forward and gathering more information, I stated to do the 90-day. I personally don't agree with this particular ordinance that we're working on. I think that creating burdens for these types of entities when we know that the fire chief already has the ability to make a decision in partnership and with community, to me seems like over-regulation, which I am not supportive of. And I wasn't here when the first initial motion would move forward. I would have voted against it so that we wouldn't have this motion in front of us at that time, because I don't think that this is actually good policy for the county at this time, because the Energy Commission and the state is actually working on regulations, and more importantly, the chief already has the authority to make those decisions based on real data. And so right now, what I had asked for is a continuation, understanding that we still need more information to gather. However, because my colleagues have very much interest in this particular item, I stated, well, how about we do a 90-day, because that allows us to come back with more information. I will probably not be supporting something of this nature in the future, because I don't think this is the right thing, because you're over-regulating with guidelines when the reality is that we already have someone who can make those decisions based on each of these entities. And so that's my reasoning behind it, and trying to compromise and be a good colleague.
Okay, I just, at some point, we're going to make a yes or no, right, on whatever is before us. And right now I'm questioning whether that's even in our authority right now. that's to the chair. The chair has to recognize you.
So, Libby, there's a couple of different things in play. So the fire chief has the authority to adopt the regulations or implement regulations for fire safety related matters where there are gaps or not sufficient regulation in the existing fire code. When the fire code is updated and prior to it, that does come before the board for approval via ordinance. So there will be an ordinance that looks to adopt the fire code as updated and amended when that comes through. At that time, the board also has authority to adopt ordinances that go above and beyond the fire code if they make certain findings. So there's that piece of it. In the interim, the board could choose to adopt an ordinance if it so chose to address this gap, but it's not required to do so. And in the absence of an ordinance, the fire chief continues with the same authority that he has under the fire code to regulate and to make determinations on a case-by-case basis as he's indicated. Sorry if my earlier answer didn't provide that clarity, but I did want to clarify that.
No, I appreciate it. And again, it goes back to timing and authority, right? So in 90 days, it won't be an ordinance before us. It'll still be interim guidelines.
It doesn't make any
if we were to do 90 days.
That's correct, I think, which I agree with you doesn't make any sense.
I mean,
let me say, I would say, just to build on your comments, it seems like the fire chief already has authority to engage in the interim. If we're going to adopt an ordinance, there should be a fire code update that should come back. So then the logical question is, do we need a fire code update? And if so, when should that come back? That feels like where we would actually need to make a decision.
I have a suggestion that if we move forward with the continuance, that there's a report back in 90 days on progress with stakeholder feedback and all those things, and a return back when we have the official word from the state. But that, based on our calendar, that will probably be like September. I don't know, but maybe that would suffice. We just have to manage an expectation, set it, and then make a decision when it's time for us to make a decision.
Can I ask a question? I'm not sure if it's for council or for the chief, but is there a reason or a timing of when a fire code update would naturally come back?
So Supervisor Losser, through the chair. So this is essentially the fire code cycle, and I'm going to just look to staff to confirm. So in April, we will get a preview of the proposed state fire code for the fire agencies to comment. And on July 1, the state fire marshal releases the California fire code. We then work with the other independent fire protection districts in the unincorporated areas. And that's when it goes from the state fire code to becoming the San Diego County Consolidated Fire Code. We try and unify best practices across all the fire agencies. And it's at that time in that process after July 1 that we would make specific findings over and above the state code that we want to apply to our fire protection district. The 11 other independent fire protection districts go through the adoption process essentially in the fall of next year. And then it comes to the Board of Supervisors as the final step, as County Council mentioned, as an ordinance. So this is a very well-defined 3-year code cycle update that will really start for us with review in April, publishing in July, and then essentially a 6-month vetting process to bring it back for board. And I just want to look to Chief Niss and make sure I'm correct on our timeline. Yes.
So to clarify, the updated fire ordinance would be back next December.
Yes, next December, January. And in that time frame, I have the authority to where we can make facts and findings on specific projects to implement additional safety requirements over and above what is currently in the code.
Thank you. Supervisor Desmond?
Just a quick, I think you just clarified that what I was about to ask is that you can still, because when Claudia had mentioned you can adopt other regulations and things like that, these are guidelines. So you can adopt these guidelines sooner if you see fit on any projects moving forward on the guidelines that you've presented today.
Supervisor Desmond, through the chair, that's correct. And maybe I could clarify with a little example on the 10-foot spacing. Our reasoning for the 10-foot spacing was to provide firefighter access to the containers. But we certainly think there's an opportunity to get the same practical effect by working with applicants on how they space these containers to meet my concerns that we can have proper tactical firefighting operations without maybe necessarily a blanket 10-foot on every project between every container. And I think that's where their technical report and working with staff, we're going to still uphold a requirement that I feel comfortable with, that first responders have access and that we're not propagating fire from container to container. But I think this is kind of the best choice here, is to let us work with the individual projects until such time as we get additional guidance documents coming out from state or federal groups.
Okay, so just to follow, so there's going to be a continuance anyway, because we're not going to get the fire code information for months. So it's automatically going to be a continuance. That's going to happen. And in the meantime, you can enforce the guidelines you need to make these projects safe. So I don't even know if we need to vote on anything at this point, other than maybe if you want to.
Well, I'd like to make a motion.
I'm not done here. As Supervisor Montgomery Stepp had mentioned, maybe we want to report back every 90 days about the progress with the business entities. I could support that, but
and that's not a return back, that's a report back. But
So
thank you.
I made a motion for continuance, right? So I don't have a second. So if I don't have a second, that fails. And then you have the item before you. Those are the rules of procedure that we have in front of us. Okay?
I was going to make another motion. So I'd love to make a motion to move forward with recommendation 2, which is receive the San Diego County BESS best practices report. Go ahead, Supervisor Montgomery Stepp. Sorry. And item 1, sorry. Thank you, Claudia, along with recommendation 1. So recommendation 1 is finding the proposed actions are not subject to CEQA, and 2, receiving the San Diego County best practices report. That would be my motion on the floor. Supervisor Montgomery Stepp, did you have a comment?
Just a point of order, is this on the continuance?
The continuance failed because there was no second. So Chairwoman Vargas made a motion to continue the item. Supervisor Desmond seconded and withdrew his second. So the item failed. Now we have another item another motion on the floor, which was mine. So either if that doesn't get a second, that will also fail. If it gets a second, then we can vote on it. Or someone could make a substitute motion to do a continuance, since Chairwoman Vargas's original continuance motion failed.
I had a question.
Supervisor Desmond.
So item, I guess it's number 1, I think we have to do, and 2. Is that right? And I have another question after that. But for this one, number 3 says authorize the county fire chief to immediately implement the interim fire protection guidelines for best facilities as identified in attachment B. It sounds like we don't have to do that because he already has that authorization.
Correct.
So I just want to make sure, okay, I had to think that through my head here. Then the 150 days. So I'd be supportive, I guess, of, we have to do number 1, is that right?
Yes, you want to make sure that there's no CEQA implications.
For the CEQA, okay. So 1 and 2, is that the modification?
That was my motion. If my colleagues wanted to amend that, they wanted a return back or report back or anything, that I'm open to that as well. It just seemed that item 3 we don't need to do because the chief already has that authority. And item 4 seems confusing because we're going to get an ordinance in 150 days that then is going to be updated within another 100 days when the actual fire protection ordinance comes back at the end of the year.
So the motion is number 1 and number 2?
Well, number 1 and
I'll second
number
that.
2. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, we have a motion and a second.
And Chairwoman Vargas, that motion passes with Supervisor Chairwoman Vargas voting no, all other supervisors who are present voting aye.
Okay, we will now move on to item 29, adopting a board policy on immigration enforcement to enhance community safety. And the chairwoman would like to make some introductory comments on this item.
Okay. So this item number 29, adopting a board policy immigration enforcement to enhance community safety. We need to consider our role as a county in ensuring safety and well-being for our most vulnerable populations. And I want to make sure that emphasize that the item that I'm proposing today is a board policy that is consistent with state law. In 2013, Governor Brown signed AB 4, the Trust Act, which protected community members from being detained by local law enforcement. Then in 2017, Governor Brown signed SB 54, making certain that Californians, including immigrants, feel safe by asking Californians that state and local resources would not be used to deport them, their families, or other members of the community. Our Sheriff's Office has a policy also that lays out that notification process, which ensures that absent a federal warrant, no release will be delayed. The intent of this action is that county resources, including jails, facilities, staff, and funds, should not be used to assist with federal civil immigration enforcement action. Immigration enforcement is a federal responsibility. The federal government can use its resources to do that. I want to be clear that this Well, I'm sorry, I had surgery and I'm doing my best I can, so I apologize if you can't hear me. I'm doing everything I can. I probably shouldn't even be here today, but immigration enforcement is a federal responsibility. The federal can you close the door, please, Sergeant?
Excuse me, can you shut the door, please?
Well, it's people trying to get in, but
Chairwoman Vargas, why don't you wait until we're able to shut the door? So.
Okay. Immigration enforcement is a federal responsibility. The federal government can use its resources to do federal work. I want to be clear, this policy in no way interferes with federal criminal investigations. We're not talking about releasing criminals on the streets. So with that, it's important to emphasize that we have witnessed the heart-wrenching consequences of current immigration enforcement policies, including families torn apart and communities destabilized. Before we turn it over to the public, Vice Chair, I wanted to ask County Council to please confirm that the proposed board policy is consistent with state law SB 54.
Yes, it complies with 54.
Okay. And we're going to hear a lot of misinformation today, and I've heard it from some of my colleagues as well. Data underscores that most immigrants, including undocumented immigrants, are law-abiding residents. 58% of individuals detained by ICE had no criminal record. Research from Stanford and Princeton universities indicates that immigrants, including those who are undocumented, are incarcerated at lower rates than U.S.-born citizens. By adopting this policy, we uphold our commitment to equity and justice, ensuring our immigrant communities feel safe and supported, and our communities as a whole feel safe and supported. Our local responsibility as a county is ensuring safety, health, and well-being for our local communities. We've made a lot of progress in establishing trust over the last few years, and we want to continue building up that trust in partnership with law enforcement in that community. And with that, I ask my colleagues to make a motion to adopt the resolution adding board policy L2 regarding cooperation with immigration enforcement. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we have quite a bit of public comment on this item. We are going to take a time certain lunch break at 1 p.m. So we will begin with public comment. And when we're getting to 1 o'clock, the clerk will let us know. We'll take a break. And then we'll do the remainder of public comment after the lunch. Okay, clerk, please.
Thank you, Vice Chair Lawson-Remer. We have 116 requests to speak on this item, 78 in person and 38 requesting to speak by phone. Also note for the record that we received 539 e-comments, 313 in favor, 202 in opposition, and 2 neutral comments. Any individuals that requested to speak on this item by phone, you may want to hold off before dialing into the conference line because we have a number of in-person speakers, as you heard. So we'll give you a clue on when it would be time for you to call in to the conference line. We'll begin with the in-person speakers, starting with those in favor of this item. As your name is called, please come forward and stand on the arrows until it is your turn to speak at the podium. I'll be calling you in groups of 3, so I'll ask you to please listen for your name. And again, you'll have 1 minute to address the board, so please keep your comments to 1 minute. I'd like to invite forward Jack Shu, Valeria Aguilar, and Kristen Carriga. If I've called your name, please come forward. As the speakers are coming forward, I'd also like to note that we have 20 individuals that registered their support but did not wish to address the board today.
Good afternoon, Board of Supervisors. I have a few more hours left in public office, and I thought I'd take that time to come and support my county Board of Supervisors in a very important action today. Some of you may know I have 22 years of supervisory law enforcement experience in my former life. And what I learned there when I taught community policing is that community trust is one of the most important parts of law enforcement, and without it, you just can't do your work. Not a little bit of community trust, but as much as you can get, 99% or better. We don't have that in our communities. We don't have that because people, undocumented workers or documented residents, see our law enforcement as a threat. And if that continues, we're just not going to have it right. Please pass this resolution or this ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Valeria Aguilar, and I'm the Social Justice Coordinator at the First Unitarian Universalist Church of San Diego, a congregation committed to justice, compassion, and the dignity of every person. I'm here today to strongly urge you to vote yes on item 29. We cannot stand by while the Sheriff's Department continues to needlessly collaborate with ICE, transferring individuals to federal custody without judicial warrants, leading to deportations and the separation of families in our communities. As Unitarian Universalists, our congregation believes in the inherent worth and dignity of all people, and we oppose any actions that harm our neighbors. The Sheriff's actions not only violate this principle, but also create fear and distrust in our communities, directly opposing the characteristics that define true public safety. It's time for San Diego County to follow the lead of 8 other California counties that have stopped using local resources for immigration enforcement. We ask that you vote yes on this policy and protect our community members from further harm. Thank you.
Thank you. As the next speaker is coming forward, I'd like to invite 3 additional speakers, M. Rose, Mackenzie Martinez, and John Mitch. If I've called your name, please come forward.
I'm Reverend Kristen Carriga. I'm the minister of the First Unitarian Universalist Church of San Diego. On this International Human Rights Day, I am so grateful for the putting forward of this resolution and just come to say, please support this. We are a faith tradition that believes in the inherent worth and dignity of every person, and we believe that keeping families together and keeping our communities safe is absolutely essential. So a yes on this item will support our communities, will keep us safer, and will honor the inherent worth and dignity of every person. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
I would encourage everyone, especially Jim Desmond, to vote yes in support of this.
Can you please state your name?
My name is M. Rose.
Thank you.
Specifically because on January 3rd, Jim Desmond made a video claiming that county funds were being used to help migrants and said they shouldn't be. January 4th, we proved that statement incorrect by showing receipts from a mutual aid and other organizations that were receiving no county, state, or federal funding. So I expect you specifically to support item 29 to allow the federal government to handle this issue independently from county resources, which you have constantly stated should be the case. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good afternoon, Board of Supervisors. My name is Mackenzie Martinez, and I am here in support of item 29. As Chair Vargas pointed out, today is December 10th, the International Human Rights Day. It is a day to uplift and empower our communities, a day to celebrate our beautifully diverse county, a day to honor the inherent dignity in every human being. We cannot allow county resources to be used to perpetuate hate against our neighbors. A county's job is to protect its residents, not harm them. This misuse of funds feeds into a discriminatory, dysfunctional, and inhumane immigration system that does not represent who we are as a community. I urge the board to pass this ordinance today and honor our human rights. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. As the next speaker is coming forward, I'll call 3 additional speakers: Jean Peters, Sarah Parker, and Bob Case. If I've called your name, please come forward.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors. My name is John Misch. I urge you to strongly pass this resolution. I applaud you for choosing how we spend county resources locally, as opposed to how some would prefer we spend our scarce resources to enact proposed decisions at a federal level. I recognize the concerns of my brothers and sisters who are opposed. I share your concern for crucial community needs such as safety and a fair economy. And I believe to oppose this would unfortunately result in the loss of immigrants who work hard to keep our businesses open. Businesses would fail if immigrants were not welcomed. Unemployment and recession would result. We all need a strong economy. Public safety would worsen because people would be less trusting of the police. People would stop going to the police for help. 1/3 of El Cajon and 1/5.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Speaker, please. The next speaker is coming forward. I'll call 3 additional speakers: Jesse Schmitty, Paulina Reyes Herreriz, and Reverend Lenny Duncan.
Good afternoon. My name is Sarah Parker. As a lawyer, I represent teenagers seeking legal protection of asylum in this country. My clients come here desperate, alone, and terrified, and in many cases, they encounter extreme physical and psychological violence along their route. At the finale of their journey, my clients land in ICE detention centers, and their treatment by ICE agents is part of the violence of their journey. I don't want my tax dollars funding any activity that contributes to this violence. And it's not just my teenage clients. We see this violence in San Diego all the time. Immigrant families are separated. People, including families and children, are held in outdoor detention between the border walls and out in the desert for days at a time in sweltering heat, and then outdoors overnight in freezing temperatures. You can Google it. KPS did a couple stories, KPBS. As a longtime San Diego County resident, as a mom, and as your neighbor, I don't want my county aiding and abetting this violence. We should be using our resources to support and not separate families. The values of the federal executive branch are not the values of California or of San Diego County, and we do not have to do their work for them. San Diego is not a place for hate.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good morning, Chair and Supervisors. My name is Jesse Schmitty, and I am in strong support of this ordinance. County resources should build families and not break them, strengthen our communities and not shatter them, protect people and not persecute them. The Sheriff's Department has no business serving as an extension of a flawed, failing system, one that tears parents away from children, workers from jobs, and neighbors from neighborhoods. When our local government aids these inhumane practices, it doesn't advance safety, it advances fear. It doesn't deliver justice, it delivers devastation. This is not who we are. We are a county of compassion, a county of inclusion, a county of fairness. Today, you have the opportunity to stand on the right side of history and to reject cruelty, to restore dignity, and to protect the people who make San Diego County strong. Supervisor Desmond, please watch how you speak to people, because your rhetoric is either going to injure your colleagues or our community members. Your 60 seconds of fame on YouTube TV channels is not worth the danger, risk that you pose to San Diegans and residents alike. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Thank you. My name is Reverend Lenny Duncan. I'm from Coffee and Class Solidarity in the Hillcrest area, and I'm also a historian or a teacher or a scholar at the Graduate Theological Union. I come here in support of Agenda Item 29 for 2 reasons. The first thing is it's the middle of the Christmas or the Advent season, and as a Christian, I'm taught that Jesus had to run from political violence to Egypt. It's actually part of the story, Councilman Desmond. Furthermore, no nation has ever looked back at the time that they rounded people up in camps proudly. There is no time in our country's nation and in our nation's history where we've looked back at that time and thought, wow, we were really good Christians and we really did a lot for Madisonian democracy. We should not spend any county funding on separating families. We need to vote yes on this and continue to be a Madisonian democracy. Maybe the slim majority of Americans wanted this, but the majority of Californians don't. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I'll call 3 additional speakers, Aaron Sir Modigrassi, Rob Hicks, and Patricia Mondigan. Just want to remind members of the public that this board has a lot of items to cover today, and it's important that we give everyone an opportunity to be heard, whether it's your turn to speak or someone else is speaking or a county supervisor speaking. The rules of procedure are very clear about disruptive behavior. Anyone that is disruptive will be warned, and if they continue to disrupt the meeting, they will be asked to leave the chamber. Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Thank you. Good morning. Paulina Reyes, D4. I support this resolution and urge the board to stop using county resources to deport our community members. As a managing attorney with the nonprofit law firm Immigrant Defenders Law Center, I have seen too many times the damage that this does to non-citizens, including long-time lawful permanent residents and our military veterans. They complete requirements imposed by the criminal justice system, but unlike everyone else, they're then punished again by harsh immigration consequences that lead to prolonged detention and or deportation. This affects their families, children, and all of us in the community. The Sheriff's Department is not legally obligated to hand over individuals to federal immigration agencies unless there's a judicial warrant. We are not asking the Sheriff's Department to stop enforcing local and state laws. We're asking that they stop volunteering resources to facilitate federal immigration enforcement when it leads to family separation and harm to the community they are meant to serve. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good morning, supervisors. Erin Sir-Modigrassi, Associate Director at Alliance San Diego. I want to thank Chair Vargas for bringing this forward. For many, many years, community members and advocates have come to the Truth Act Forum and asked our local sheriff to stop aiding in the deportation of our community members, to no avail. And it's really time. So we have come to you to ask you to end this practice, to ask putting our community resources, our county resources towards deporting our community members, and we are really grateful for seeing this brought forward. The best way that we can protect our community members from mass deportations is to make certain that we are not using our own county resources to assist the federal government in doing so. So again, we want to thank you for hearing us, for bringing this forward, and we urge you to vote yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good morning, Chair Vargas, supervisors. My name is Robert Hicks. I'm the Assistant Regional Director for ADL, the Anti-Defamation League of San Diego and Imperial Counties. I'm also District 4 resident. We are here today in support of item 29. We are an anti-hate organization founded in 1913 to stop the defamation of Jewish people and to secure justice and fair treatment to all. We're also rooted in a community that has experienced the plight of living as refugees throughout its history. We believe in fair and humane immigration policy, and we are a leader in exposing anti-immigrant and refugee hate, which has increased over the last decade. Immigrants and refugees are an integral part of our San Diego community. We are grateful that the county has decided to advance protections for immigrants that will keep families together and ensure immigrants are treated with humanity, dignity, and respect. Thank you.
Thank you. As the next speaker is coming forward, I'll call 3 additional speakers. Itzel Chavez, Maria Inez Delgado, and Jalen Choi. Call your name, please come forward.
Patricia Mondragon, D4 resident. Sheriff Martinez has said she does not have enough staff to respond to CLRB requests. However, the sheriff is using staff for federal immigration enforcement. This is a perfect example of how the sheriff's resources should be used for county purposes, not for federal immigration purposes. Let's talk about public safety. Right now, I am more fearful for our safety when elected leaders rage tweet misinformation to create division and hate. That behavior causes grave concern for all of our safety, including their colleagues on this board. So, Supervisor Desmond himself, just this year, advocated for not expending county resources on federal immigration purposes. Today on International Human Rights Day, we have an opportunity to stand up for everyone's human rights and dignity by protecting the safety and security of all residents regardless of where they were born. Please vote yes on item 29. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good afternoon, Chair Vargas and County Supervisors. My name is Itzel Maganda Chavez, and I have been a resident of San Diego for the past 25 years. And as an immigrant myself, I know firsthand what it means to be afraid to call for help when my family needed it. Continuing the status quo will mean that more families like mine, more neighbors like ours, will live in fear. I stand here strongly in support of item 29, and I urge you to do the right thing and cast your vote in support today. Make history on International Human Rights Day and lead San Diego into a safer tomorrow by standing with community and protecting the most vulnerable. Don't allow our county to continue the Sheriff's Department's practices of creating harm and growing the mistrust in government. Please make sure that we use our resources to fuel and support our communities. Do not invest in the separation of families. Instead, lead with dignity and uphold human rights first. Vote in support of item 29. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to call 3 additional speakers, Tammy Alvarado, Kara Watkins, and Christopher Kennison. Please come forward if I've called your name.
Good morning. My name is Jalen Choi, and I am a resident of District 3. I'm here today to urge the county to stop using county resources to deport our community members. It is fundamentally unjust to subject migrants to harsh and punitive immigration enforcement measures, especially when many are fleeing violence, persecution, or extreme poverty in their home countries. It goes against principles of compassion, human rights, and dignity to forcibly remove people from the place they have called to come home and separate them from their families and communities in the process. It repeats a history where migrants have never been welcome in our country and are seen as these criminals, when in fact immigration does not lead to an increase in crime, and immigrants are less likely to commit crimes than native-born citizens. The county should not be using its resources to engage in enforcement, but instead put their energy into things that will actually do some help, like language access, housing, economic opportunities, the welcoming center, et cetera. Please pass item 29.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good morning. Hi, my name is Tammy Alvarado. I'm here in support of item 29. I've been a lifelong California resident, and I'm disappointed to hear that the Sheriff's Office is using county resources in assisting the federal government with this immigration problem. Our communities need many things. We need our resources to go to the county where they're supposed to go. Most importantly, these practices lead to unintended consequences like the lack of trust in our law enforcement, and that will increase. Without trust, crimes go unreported out of fear at what might happen to them. People could take matters into their own hands, and that will jeopardize the safety of officers as well as community members. This practice also directly affects the efficiency of the Sheriff's Department because time is taken away from their actual job duties. And lastly, I'm just going to go through on the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, Article 5. No one shall be subjected to torture or cruel, inhumane, or degrading treatment or punishment. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next speaker.
My name is Chris, Civic Engagement Organizer for Alliance San Diego. I've been stopped by 3 different agencies in one day: SDPD, Border Patrol, and Sheriffs. At 15 years old, I've had an off-duty ICE agent pull a gun out on me point blank in my face. So I understand why my brothers and sisters fear for these agencies. 8 counties in California have chosen to stop using county resources to deport community members because the harm it caused. For people in attendance, you should take the word freedom out your vocabulary if you're not willing to die for it. So, and the people that came here, they risked their lives to get here. So they deserve the right to a freedom and a way to prosper. It wasn't an issue when the colonizers did it. Actually, most Americans praise the colonizers when they landed on Plymouth Rock. As a Black and Filipino man, I understand my ancestors made a greater sacrifice than anybody who's standing in America today. We've made a greater contribution to this so-called country and have collected a lot less. We urge the board to pass item 20.
Thank you. Thank you. As the next speaker is coming forward, I'll call 3 additional speakers: Simone Guzman, Lillian Serrano, and Jermaine Roca Corba. If I've called your name, please come forward.
Good morning, I'm Kara Watkins. I live and work in San Diego County, and I'm here to ask the County Board of Supervisors to pass item 29. Every community member in San Diego County has inherent human dignity and deserves to be treated with equality regardless of where they were born. To protect the dignity and equality of all community members, San Diego County should stop using tax dollars and resources to hand community members over to ICE for detention and deportation. As an immigration attorney, I've seen that the current policy causes devastating and long-lasting family separation that hurts the families and children involved and also harms the entire community. The county should protect family unity and foster a healthy community where people do not live in fear of seeking help from the county or the Sheriff's Department for any vital services they may need. I strongly support item 29, and San Diego should join the 8 other counties in California who chose to stop using county resources to help deport community members. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good morning, my name is Simon Guzman. I use pronouns such as he, him, and él. I first want to thank Chair Vargas for introducing this brave measure here today. I'm here to speak in support of this item, knowing that local agencies and personnel are not federal immigration officers, nor are they judges or experts on this topic. As taxpayers, we already pay money. Our Congress this last year allocated over $176 billion to DHS. So I know that with our limited resources, these are our resources and time instead should be going to helping working families or to help survivors if that's what we really care about with free mental health services or other kind of programs. Furthermore, I'm here today as a constituent in District 5, having grown up in North County. To my supervisor, when you speak, you're speaking about people who grow our food, who serve us, who take care of our children, build our roads. Please, 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 when you at least make your vote, acknowledge us for once, because you're also elected to represent us and our families too.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hello, my name is Jermaine Roca Corba. My pronouns are she, they. I am a policy manager with PANA, and I live in District 4, working with refugees, immigrants, and asylees. I'm also a granddaughter of a U.S. veteran that swore to protect our values of civil liberty and democracy for all people without intimidation and hostility. By allowing sheriffs that are not legally required to hand individuals to federal immigration agencies unless they have a valid judicial warrant assigned by judge, we are losing county resources, time, and creating harm in our communities instead of improving the quality of life for all people. I urge you to support item 29 and include language to prohibit data sharing, such as AI source data, to truly safeguard our communities. Vote yes on item 29. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to call 3 additional speakers: Sarah Kennedy, Michelle Sellery, and Gabby Simone. If I've called your name, please come forward.
Good morning. My name is Lilian Serrano, and I'm the director with the Southern Border Communities Coalition. But more importantly, today I'm speaking to you as a District 5 resident. Today, I'm asking this board to put public safety first and support item 29. Public safety depends on public trust, and trust is something that you really have to work hard to get. Our county government will continue to struggle to gain the trust of the public and the trust of those of us who live in the immigrant community as long as you continue to use county resources to torn our families apart. It is time to start with dignity. It is time to use county resources to protect human rights, and it is time to ensure that county resources are not used to turn our families apart, our communities apart, and I'm specifically asking about my North County community in District 5. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Gabby Simone. I am a D4 resident and an organizer with Viet Voices. We work with the Vietnamese community who are immigrants and refugees to increase more civic engagement with our local governments. There is a fundamental issue that affects the fabric of our community: trust. Right now, many immigrants and citizens do not trust our government because they know that when they call for help or seek services, they can bring attention to themselves. This creates a climate of fear that ripples through every corner of our community. They're afraid to report a crime, to seek health care, or to access vital services like food, housing, or mental health support. It creates divisions where there should be connection. We urge the board to vote yes on item 29. We need to ensure that our county serves all of us without fear or prejudice. Our community is stronger when every person feels safe and supported, when they trust the local government is there to help, not to harm. Thank you.
Thank you. This next speaker is coming forward. I'll call 3 additional speakers: Kenneth Herman, Brad Mills, and Allison Edens. If I've called your name, please come forward.
Good morning. My name is Michelle Solari, and I am the American Immigration Lawyers Association of San Diego chair. And I'm here today to talk to you about this resolution. First and foremost, Nora, thank you for bringing this forward. It took a lot of courage to do it, and I call on all of you to be courageous. I've come here for 5 years with people who have been impacted by this policy. Our attorneys have represented those individuals, and we've seen families torn apart, bringing all their money together, their resources, and giving every last penny they have to keep their families together. We know what this does to our community. We are talking about our friends, our neighbors, and our family. And San Diego should align with the other 8 counties that have decided not to use their resources to separate our families. I trust all of you believe that we can be the welcoming community.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
And Sarah Kennedy will be calling in.
Good afternoon. My name is Ken Herman. I'm a resident of North Park, and I also lead the music ministry at Our Savior's Lutheran Church in North Park. I believe our discussion today has a moral and a spiritual component, and I'd like to read 2 verses from the book of Leviticus in the Hebrew Scriptures. Leviticus 19, when an alien settles with you in your land, you shall not oppress him. He shall be treated as a native born among you, and you shall love him as a man like yourself. I am the Lord your God. I hope you consider this. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Hello, good morning. Thank you all for your service to the county. My name is Brad Mills, Father Brad, and I'm a Catholic priest here in San Diego. And I support this measure today because countless members of my faith community, like many faith communities here in San Diego, would be affected by this. We have appreciated over the past years a close communication with law enforcement. There's been an increasing trust, I believe, in our community with the police, with other officials who have come to our parish and done presentations. And I want that trust to continue. I want that trust to grow because our parish community and so many people in the county need trust in law enforcement, and we need to avoid a culture of fear about communicating with law enforcement. That will keep our community safer. Thank you very much.
Thank you. As the next speaker is coming forward, I'd like to invite 3 additional speakers: Pedro Rios, Mary Niez, and Reverend Jerry Newell Davis.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Allison. The land acknowledgement that we read this morning should remind us that we were not the first ones here. We are a country of immigrants, and we took what was not ours. We know that we have a long history of forcing urgent migration. The journey is treacherous to get here, and when folks get here, they are intentionally harmed by federal immigration agents, like we saw exemplified on November 27th in San Isidro, when Border Patrol agents drove at a horrifying speed into migrants. These are not criminals. They are our friends, they're our neighbors, they're part of our community, paying over $218 million annually in taxes, and being far less likely to commit crimes. Local law enforcement colluding with federal immigration agents, choosing to hand over individuals to ICE and telling them about release dates completely undermines our trust in our local law enforcement and our local government. It's time for us to join in the 8 other counties that are ending cooperation with ICE and the DHS. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hello. Mary Nees. I strongly support adoption of policy L2. It is long past time for the county to stop doing the work of federal immigration staff and stop colluding with ICE. Immigration is a civil matter. No federal representative must be given the power by any county staff member to violate our values. Only a federal judicial warrant, not a staff member's nor an immigration court's warrant, should prompt the releasing of confidential information, nor of somebody being released from county jails into the custody of ICE. Remember, Some of those released have never been convicted of a crime and are just waiting a hearing. Our community benefits when everyone feels that they can call on law enforcement. If a percentage feel that they would impact a family's livelihood or unity, our entire community suffers. By providing a hard no to federal immigration agents, L2 will prevent the federal government from using our jail staff to racially or nationally profile our neighbors. Society benefits when we all feel safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good afternoon, Board of Supervisors. My name is Pedro Rios. I direct the American Friends Service Committee's U.S.-Mexico Border Program. For over 20 years, we've been documenting the presence of ICE in our communities and the deleterious impact that they have when they separate families. I've had an opportunity to speak with many of those families. I remember the 16-year-old who was left with her two siblings having to deal now with selling the furniture from her house, her parents' homes, because her parents were violently taken away from their Spring Valley home. I've worked with workers from various industries who have been targeted by ICE, where ICE will stop them in their vehicles, take the parents away, and leave the children standing on their own. Is this the type of association that the county would want with an immigration agency that continuously violates human rights? I don't think so. Today's theme for International Human Rights Day are rights, and we should uphold our rights today.
Thank you. As the next speaker is coming forward, I'd like to invite 3 additional speakers: Alan Colburn, Marilia Mencion, and Kim Knox. If I've called your name, please come forward.
Chairwoman Nora Vargas and all supervisors. My name is Jerry Newell Davis, and I'm a pastor in the United Methodist Church, and I'm here to speak in favor of adopting item 29. My family and I have hosted an asylum seeker and her son for 6 years. They are here with the knowledge and the approval of the DOJ and Homeland Security. She has a work permit, but still she lives in fear that she will be deported without a fair and just due process. This comes from hostile rhetoric language from elected officials and others who call all immigrants and asylum seekers illegal, as well as the fear of county and federal practices. Every person, regardless their age or stage in life, deserves the responsibility of us to give them safety and security, knowing that law enforcement will protect their rights. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Thank you, Board, for your time. My name is Alan Colburn. I'm a resident of San Marcos. I'm an assistant professor and co-director of the Social Justice Human Rights Program at Arizona State University. I'm here to advocate for yes for this policy. California, San Marcos has an opportunity here to really show the nation how to be welcoming, how to protect our communities. Immigrants are long-standing members of our communities for generations. As the federal government continues to expand enforcement and frame immigrants as a threat, San Diego has a responsibility to push back and show the nation how immigrants are actually a vital part of our community, contributing over $100 million in 2022 in taxation, contributing to the nation over $96 billion during that year. Immigrants have been here. They are part of our communities. They are vital to our communities. It is not the responsibility of San Diego to enforce immigration law, but it is a responsibility of San Diego to take care of its immigrant community.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Marilia Maskian, District 9. I just want to thank Supervisor Vargas for putting forward this resolution. I'm here with ACE today and so many other community members, as you can see, and him here in strong support of this resolution. We need to protect our immigrant friends and neighbors from being unjustly targeted and to use these resources for things we need, like housing, healthcare, and fighting for the climate crisis. We have a broken immigration system that unjustly criminalizes the very act of migration, something that should be a human right. As an immigrant myself, I know how broken the system is, and this is a very important step we can take to keep our neighbors safe, and I want to thank you again. Thank you.
Thank you. As the next speaker is coming forward, I'll call 3 additional speakers: Robert Vivar, Flower Alvarez Lopez, and Mia Thompson. If I've called your name, please come forward.
Good afternoon, Supervisors. I'm Kim Knox, President of the League of Women Voters of San Diego, and I'm also speaking today on behalf of the League of Women Voters of North County, San Diego. The League strongly supports a criminal justice system that is just, effective, equitable, transparent, and that fosters public trust at all stages. The League also supports due process for all persons, including the right to a fair hearing, right to counsel, right of appeal, and right to humane treatment. We ask that you adopt the resolution and Board Policy L2 to affirm the county shall not provide assistance or cooperation to ICE in its civil immigration enforcement efforts. This policy will best foster trust and cooperation between immigrant communities and local law enforcement, essential elements for public safety. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Mia Thompson, and I was born in San Diego, raised in El Centro. I'm a full-time criminal justice student and legal research intern with Community Advocates for Just and Moral Governance, or MOGO for short. I am here on International Human Rights Day to urge support for item 29. 8 other counties in California have chosen to stop using county resources to deport community members because they recognize the harm that it caused. And it's time for San Diego County to join them in protecting community members. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights affirms that all people have the right to live with dignity and freedom. So vote yes, please, to protect human rights and public safety. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Robert Vivar. I'm part of the San Diego Immigrant Rights Consortium and also Deported Veterans Resource Center. And today I want to ask the chair and board to please support voting yes on item 29. You know, San Diego is a big military town. And at present, we have over 40,000 active duty non-citizen military members that are vulnerable to deportation should they come in contact with law enforcement and not have the opportunity to be provided legal defense. So I urge to please vote yes on this item. You know, today on International Human Rights Day, I am also reminded of Matthew 25:40, which states, "Whatever so you do unto the least, of these you do to me." And I'm referring to what our Lord Jesus Christ was exposed to many years ago.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to call 3 additional speakers: Wismic St. Jean, Jerry Hernandez, and Teresa Perez. If I've called your name, please come forward.
Hello, my name is Flower Alvarez Lopez, and I am the co-director of Universidad Popular, a community-rooted organization in District 5. Our organization is part of Fuera Migra, a working group dedicated to decriminalizing immigrants. I have a question for the board that I hope you can address. How will this resolution be adopted and implemented by the Sheriff's Department? While this resolution is a step forward, much work is needed to ensure that the San Diego Sheriffs stop utilizing county resources to detain and deport members of our community. While I support the immigration enforcement resolution, I believe it's only the beginning of a significant work to build a truly welcoming infrastructure in our county. We are witnessing the harmful rhetoric of the Great Replacement Theory in action, rhetoric that pushes fear and ignores the history of our county, our country, and our region. We are here and we will continue to exist on our homelands within the border region. It is essential that this reality is acknowledged and respected.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good afternoon, Board of Supervisors. My name is Wismic St. Jean, and I'm here with Pastor Simon, who is a Haitian pastor of 300 members, Fabiola Blanc, Secretary of HPAC, and Mark Poto, who is also Communication Director. We're all here today in support of item 29 on your agenda. Again, I want to express my support. I want to highlight our community struggles our concern and challenges in one short stories. Binol mentor, illegal immigrants, TPS protected, asylum is pending with USCIS, and he has been living in San Diego since 2022. A few weeks ago, he was detained while he inadvertently entered a restricted facility. He's now in deportations proceedings.
Thank you. Thank you. Your time is up. The next speaker is coming forward. I'll call 3 additional speakers: Elizabeth Sanchez, Jocelyn Hernandez, and Elizabeth Hernandez. If I've called your name, please come forward.
Hello, Board of Supervisors. My name is Teresa Perez. I'm the lead organizer with the San Diego Organizing Project. SDOP strong support the item 29. We need San Diego County to stop using county resources to deport our community members. Public safety depends on community trust. Using county resources to deport community members destroy community trust and pull off our safety at risk. We are a faith-based and we believe in the values and the equality for everyone. So I ask, please vote yes on item 29. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good morning. My name is Jocelyn Hernandez.
One moment.
Can you tell me who's the person that keeps talking? Sir, this is your first warning. Your second warning, you're going to be asked to be removed from the chambers, okay? Thank you.
Good morning. Hi, my name is Jocelyn Hernandez. I'm sorry, I'm a little nervous and it's a minute. I'm Jocelyn Hernandez. My dad is a tradesman. He's a San Diego County resident. I'm from Orange County. He's been deported 4 times in my lifetime. First time I was 8 or 6, then I was 10, then I was 9. I'm nervous because it's the first time I've able to talk to anyone about this. I wish I would have been able to talk to someone when I was 8. No one protected our families. All he had was a DUI, alcoholism, could have easily been resolved. He's been torn apart from us too many times. Last time he was taken away from us, I say away because he had a DUI and then all of the implications that come with the collusion with ICE. He could have been, he's been deported many times and he's always come back for us, my sister and me. I would have been able to graduate UC Berkeley if he had helped, which he wasn't allowed to.
Next speaker, please. Next speaker is coming forward. I'll call 3 additional speakers: Ali Reza Torabi, Biba Zarate, and Clariza Marin. I've called your name. Please come forward.
Hello, my name is Elizabeth Hernandez and I was born and raised in the LA area. I want to support to end the ICE transfers. I am an American citizen and I know firsthand what it's like to suffer the desecration of familyhood. Sorry. My dad has been torn apart from me 5 times. And at one of the times, it happened on the school grounds of my elementary school when I was 9. They didn't care who was watching. They didn't care for the kids or other families alike. They just did it. And it didn't matter how violent it was. It's unfair, and I don't wish that on another child. All I ask for you is to please protect the sanctity of familyhood and don't allow that to happen like it happened to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ali Reza Torabi. I am here as a representation of the undocumented community. I am undocumented, a DACA recipient with an order of removal. I am a person who has had his mother placed in immigration jail prior to these protections being placed for my community. And I think about my younger sisters and brothers that do not have these. If this does not go through, they will not have these protections like I had. And I was able to utilize them to navigate and go through higher education. And I come here today as a MD, a doctor that graduated med school, and I was able to do that because of a community that supported me. I was able to do that because I had people that backed me. And I tell the people here that are in opposition to this bill that if you show up and you are under my care. I don't care about how you treat me or what you say to my community. I will care for you because that's how I was raised, and that's how my community taught me to treat others.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Hola, buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Elizabeth. Soy miembro del proyecto organizador de San Diego.
Good afternoon. My name is Elizabeth, and I'm a member of the organization Project of San Diego.
Necesitamos que el condado de San Diego deje de utilizar los recursos del condado para deportar a los miembros de nuestra comunidad.
We need that the County of San Diego stops using the resources of the county in order to deport the members of our community.
La seguridad pública depende de la confianza de la comunidad.
Public safety depends in the trust of the community.
El uso de los recursos del condado para deportar a miembros de la comunidad destruye esa confianza y pone en riesgo la seguridad de todo el público.
The use of the resources of the county in order to deport members of the community destroys that trust, and it puts at risk the safety of the whole community.
Pedimos a la Junta de Supervisores de San Diego aprobar una resolución para evitar el uso de recursos del condado en la aplicación de la ley de inmigración para mejorar la seguridad de la comunidad.
We ask the County Board of Supervisors to approve a resolution in order to avoid using the resources of the county in order to apply the immigration law, in order for the safety, a better safety of the community.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please. Go ahead and call 3 additional speakers: Jesus Ramon Villalba, Xochitl Sanchez, and Ashley Mendiola. I've called your name. Please come forward.
I'm Jesus Ramon with CIPC, Undocumented and Unafraid, speaking in favor of item 29. On the other side of the wall, Tijuana announces its motto, Aquí empieza la patria, the fatherland begins here. Regardless, the U.S. has come to be home for many of us for decades. San Diego County is home to a vibrant immigrant community that contributes to the everyday wellness of its neighborhoods. 8 counties across the state have already made good on their responsibility to their community by extending peace and security for all of its inhabitants. By approving item 29, the county affirms that despite what those letters on the other side spell out, here is where our home begins. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
My name is Xochitl Sanchez, and I am a senior statewide organizer with the California Immigrant Policy Center. I am here in solidarity with the immigrant communities of San Diego County and the immigrant advocates, organizers, and activists serving binational communities and carefully navigating the challenges of border militarization and border violence. My respect to them for the invaluable work they carry out, and my respect to the immigrant communities of San Diego that have contributed their culture, entrepreneurship, ingenuity, and vibrant spirit to this region. It is clear that the Biden administration has failed immigrant families, and the Trump administration plans to terrorize communities with mass deportations. In light of the threat, San Diego County must join the 8 other counties in California that have chosen to prohibit the use of county resources to deport community members. We know that this is not going to be enough. It will take organizing and community defense to take care of our families, and we're committed to do that. County resources must be dedicated to serving, protecting, and keeping families together in San Diego.
Thank you. The next speaker is coming forward. I'll call additional speakers: Clint Carney, Paulina Reyes, and Michael White. If I've called your name, please come forward.
Hello, my name is Ashley Mendiola. I'm a member of San Diego Organizing Project. We need San Diego County to stop using county resources to deport our community members. Public safety depends on community trust. Using county resources to deport community members destroys community trust and puts all our safety at risk. We urge the San Diego Board of Supervisors to pass adopting a board policy on immigration enforcement to enhance community safety. Thank you.
Hello, Supervisors. My name is Clint Carney with the Survivors of Torture International Organization and also the Advisory Board of San Diego Immigrant Rights Consortium. Torture is carried out in 141 countries around the world. That's 75% of the world, and oftentimes it's carried out by police and military. In San Diego County, there are approximately 38,000 torture survivors who are residents of San Diego County alone. That's about the size of the student body population of San Diego State. Asylum seekers are not criminals. They're actually running from criminals in other countries. Law enforcement needs to be trusted by our immigrant communities, and that trust can start right here with the Board of Supervisors. I ask you to support item 29. Thank you.
Thank you. As the next speaker is coming forward, I'll call additional speakers. Sal Sarmiento, Moises Godinez, and Crystal Irving. I've called your name. Please come forward.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Michael White. I'm with Pillars of the Community, and I stand before you on International Human Rights Day. It seems like a no-brainer, like divine intervention. I myself am the son of an immigrant. My dad came from Guyana, through caravan over the top of South America, through Central America, all through Mexico, got turned around twice before he finally made it across the border in the early 70s. He also was a Marine, a United States Marine, a master welder, and now he's retired, living a great life in Virginia. We should not use county funds for federal enforcement. How can you call it public safety when our public doesn't feel safe at all? Not our public, at least. We should be supporting families, not separating families. No one is free until we all are free. Thank you.
Thank you. So next speaker, I'm going to call the remaining speakers in favor. Danier Megason, Elizabeth Coromet, Nate Wallman, Jesus Martin Gallegos Munoz. I've called your name. Please come forward.
Hello, my name is Danier Meganson. I'm with the San Diego Organizing Project. I'm a organizer with them and a longtime resident of Chula Vista. I strongly urge you to respect human rights and family values. Separating families and deportations are not patriotic and do not reflect the moral values that most San Diegans believe in. Cooperating with ICE and other immigration officials to tear apart families is just plain wrong. I urge you to stop wasting county resources to tear apart our communities and pass this item. Immigrants also pay taxes and are a vital part of our economy. It is well documented that immigrants commit crimes at a much lower rate than the general population. So I urge you today to build trust and let's stop fear. So vote yes on 29. Thank you.
Thank you. Now hear from the next speaker.
Good afternoon. My name is Elizabeth Crumet. I'm an attorney in San Diego, and I've been a San Diego County resident for over 40 years. We call upon the county to pass this resolution to stop using county resources to deport our neighbors and separate families. The San Diego Sheriff's Department is currently using county resources and staff to assist DHS and ICE in deporting our community members. 8 other counties in California have chosen to stop using county resources to deport community members because they recognize the harm it caused. It's time for San Diego County to join them in protecting our community members. We need San Diego County to stop using county resources to deport our community members.
Look at all the county resources that people are using. Every single one of them.
Okay,
This is your warning.
sir.
Please.
U.S. is your first warning.
We're going to go ahead and take a recess, and please take him out of the office. I want everybody to be safe. I'm going to ask him to be removed from the premises. You're being disruptive of this meeting. Can you please, we're going to take a break.
Okay, we're now taking a 5-minute recess.
Everyone.